gentlemen, welcome to Talk That Talk Tuesday. It is good to see you guys in the building today. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as you're coming in. Share this with one person that you care about tonight for this conversation. I know what the title says, and it may be a little, pushy, and that's what we want. We want pushy. I definitely want to rock the boat. So definitely share this with one person that you love, that you like. Share it with 4 people that you don't like. And make sure the kids are sound asleep or playing their video games tonight as we have this conversation. I have a dynamic and very mature background tonight. These guys are going to come in and we're going to have a clinical perspective. We're going to have a street perspective. We're going to have it from a marriage perspective. We're going to have it from a single person's perspective. Man, I put this together today in order to have a long and prosperous and great conversation tonight. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go ahead and get in those comments and let us know that you're here, and we'll definitely shout you out. Any questions, any comments, make sure you put it in the comments so we can go ahead and acknowledge you on tonight. You could have been anywhere else tonight, but you chose to be here on the Black Men Unfiltered Network on Talk That Talk Tuesday, and I am so happy. I'm peacock proud and honeymoon happy to have you in the building tonight. We appreciate you, and the show will begin shortly after this song. Get comfortable, get your wine, get your husband, and everything else you need, and we'll be right back after this song goes off. We'll play our intro, and we'll be coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Let's go. If you're just getting in here, I'm so happy to see you guys tonight. All right. So listen, before we get started, I just want to say a few things. I'm glad to see you guys in the chat already. Tez Defy, my brother from another mother's in the chat. CBN, I'm waiting on him to come to the back. Lost in Translation is already he in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait to see him. But I'm glad you guys are here tonight for this conversation. Sit your ass down if you're not trying to do the work, what do you mean, Black Man in Filter? What are you saying? What is it that you're doing? What are you calling somebody out? You want some smoke? Yes, I want all the smoke, because when you breathe in the smoke, it helps clear your lungs. So bring all this. I want all of it. I think that we're in a time right now that families men are under attack. Families are under attack. Our sons, our daughters are under attack. The education system is under attack. I think there's so much going on in the world today. I think that the agendas are rising to the occasion in some factions of the world. I think that we're focusing on the wrong things in the world today and not focusing on the right things. I think we're losing our children. I think that the penal system I found out about a program today called the cut system in the penal system for men. If you take experimental drugs, they cut your time. So if you have 15 years, they probably cut it down to 10. And a lot of men participate in this, and they drug them up to the point some of the men have very bad side effects to the medicine. They get out and they create a hostile environment, or they create a hostile environment in their minds. And when they get out, they come right back. It's a revolving door. But the thing I want you to know is, in some states, for every prisoner that's in the prison, it's $1 million per bed. Let me say that again. Especially the private prisons, it's $1 million per bed. And some of the prisons are at 99% capacity. I wonder why. Think about how much they're taking in a year. So everything's under attack. Everything is. And there are some people out here who have selective outrage. I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to let this be my mantra. Selective outrage, meaning that if, as a leader, as men, women who follow their men or the vision of their men, who support their men, that's in a perfect world. But I think selective outrage is when, and I've said this before too, if you follow the show, if you can't talk about, everything, you shouldn't talk about nothing. I think that we shouldn't just talk about what the women are doing in our community, which there is a lot of correction to be made there. We talk about it, right? There's a lot of correction to be made with the men in our community. We talk about it. There's a lot of corrections to be made in a lot of sections in this world. And I think that if we can't talk about everything, we shouldn't talk about nothing. And so tonight, I want to be able to, I don't want to deal with me personally as a man, I'm going to bring my guys up in a minute and my ladies up in a minute, but I don't want to be talking to men who only want to talk about the gray pair of shoes when there's other shoes that need assistance and need help too. Right? I don't want to talk about the mud on the woman's shoe when there's mud on the man's shoe. I don't want to talk about the mud on the man's shoe when the children are suffering and their shoes are messed up. I don't want to talk about that. I want to be able to talk about everything. I want to be able to address everything. And I think that as men, as leaders, that is our job to do it. All right? It is our job to do it. So I want to bring everybody up that's in the back tonight. These people are important to me. I've learned a lot from each and every one of these people since I've been on this fabulous journey of YouTubians. I've learned a lot from these people that I'm about to bring up. And so I want to start out first with the first person that shouted me out when I had 1 subscriber. I want to give it up for my girl all the way from the Shy herself. Give it up for Sheree B. Chicago in the building tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, I want to bring up, listen, this guy, I got a lot of men on here tonight that don't have no hair, and they all think they sexy, because they're in the background right now, touching their heads and their hair. And so I'm just going to bring up look at this, guys. Look at this. Mr. Bennett is in the building tonight. All right, listen. Hey, Mike, I'm gonna let my guy go last. I'm gonna get all the bald head guys out the way first. Mr. R. Payne is coming to bring the pain tonight. What's going on, my guy? And now if you're looking for someone who can get inside your head and make you better, yeah, you got to listen to what he said. We got the doctor in the building tonight. Dr. Nakumbe is in the building tonight. All right, all right, all right. Listen, things can get messy, things can get reckless. And that's why we have Reckless Ray De Niro in the building tonight. Ray, what's going on, my
Good
guy?
evening. I will be on camera shortly.
All right, not a problem, brother. Thank you for being here, man. All right, last but not least, the bishop on these YouTube streets. Listen, I thought I could say a word. This man here came on the other evening. I had to play church music because he came in and preached a hell of a sermon and had me on my toes and kept me up a little later than I wanted to be up. Give it up for Lost in Translation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My brother, my brother, my brother. All right, man. It's so good to see you guys tonight. How are you guys doing tonight? We'll start with Sheree. Sheree, how are you doing, sweetheart?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Man, I am good. It's so good to see you. It's always good to see you, Sheree. Always.
Same.
You always been a big supporter, man. I appreciate all your support for sure. But when I was struggling and straining, you was calling me out, shouting me out, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. Thank
Got
you
a
for
great
being here.
platform.
Much love, much love. Mr. Bennett, he rubbing his head coming in. Yeah, as a, Mr. Bennett, how are you tonight?
I am doing great. Doing great. Good to be here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. R Payne, what's going on? How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Can't complain.
Absolutely, man. All right. Lost in Translation. How are you today, brother?
I am well. I am blessed. I am better than blessed.
Come, man.
Glad to be here.
There you go. There you go. All right. Let's see here. Ray, brother Ray, how are you today? Can you give us a word from the car right now?
Better than I deserve. Better than I deserve. That's all I gotta say. I have many words. I actually just got here, so we're pulling up now. I gotta do a little humble flex. I'm house sitting. I gotta check to make sure the Porsche is okay.
All right, so let's see here. All right, man. Now I want to before we get started, man, I want to say something. Everybody knows. Everybody knows the Wife School podcast, right?
Right.
You're familiar with the Wife School podcast. So she was supposed to be here tonight. She said, "Hey, Black man, I know you're going on. I would love to get on the panel, but I'm mourning my grandmother." She said, "Yeah, she lost her grandmother, guys." She said, "Thank you for sending me the invite. I will be watching. Just going through for the past few weeks. So, guys, if you're praying, and if you do pray, please, 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 send your prayers to her. She's watching right now. So, thank you so much, Wife School Podcast, for even reaching out and letting me know that. We'll definitely be praying for you. I've had a loss in the last few weeks. JT." From JT Podcast, he had a loss of his father a few weeks back. So we're all here for you. We've all experienced it in the last month or so, in the last few weeks. So we're here for you. We love you, and we definitely will be praying for you and send a real good prayer out for you after we end the show. Okay. All right. So I just want to send that out to her. Our hearts are with you, man. Loss is something else, guys. It's something else. It really is. But anyway, if you're dealing with loss, let me go ahead and put a plug in there. If you're dealing with loss and you don't know how to deal with it, or you don't know how to cope with it, man, I have a great show that comes on Thursday on this network called Breaking the Cycle with Dr. Nkumbe and Coach K. They both are, from a clinical perspective, will be able to help you. You can send them an email. You can also get on the show, get in the chat, send a question if may be. And they'll be able to answer anything that they possibly can to try to help you. And if you want to talk to them privately, they're open to that as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Nkumbe, for all you do on that show on Thursday night to help people in their mental journeys. All right. So appreciate that. All right, guys. So we're about to jump into this conversation real quick. I want to check the temperature of the room real quick, though. I want to ask a question, just an ice-breaking question here. Do you believe that in the world we live in today, that men should have a stronger backbone and stand in their square? But the question is, do you believe men are conforming to the world because they're just tired? they've just given up. We'll start with the ladies first. Sheree.
Why me? Um, um, I guess it's not. I guess my perspective is going to be a little bit more of uh, for me. I'm not quite sure because in certain in a lot of okay, we are a creature of habit. Period. Whether you're male or female, and we are also all do the things that we do because we are conditioned to do them. So I think that depending on your upbringing, it's depending on whether or not you're going to be able to have a backbone or just conform to the world. Now, I know when it comes to men, men do certain things because of what the world has brought them. So if they don't have the mentality of being a leader, then yeah, they're going to conform. And we all know that unfortunately, since a lot of men don't get the example of a leader, they don't know how to lead. So I think leadership is mainly what we really just missing. And if we could get more men willing to lead and understand how to lead their lives, then they would not be worried about the world because they'll be more so worried about how they can change it. So that's my take.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Bennett, and then Mr. Arpain. You could jump right in after Mr. Bennett.
Wow, that's a pretty broad. That's a pretty broad question. I'm not sure from what angle to tackle that. I just think that when we talk about the world that we live in, I think in a lot of respects, it's a lot more tame than the world from before. Like I said, I tend to study a lot of history and all these world wars we came through, and the Black Plague and all these other hostile conditions that humanity has persevered through. So it's hard for me to, when you start comparing eras, is today better than it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that sort of thing. I certainly think that the world is, in the last 50 years, and I've been having, a lot of these conversations as of late, I think certainly the world has changed faster than humanity's ability, given that humanity's been based on thousands of years of tradition or hundreds of years of tradition. Now you have these radical changes that have happened in the last 50 years, and we're, rather than setting history, we're kind of being taken along by these changes, and it's almost like you're operating from a defensive posture, or trying to catch up and try to understand, but you feel less that you're actually forming what is actually going on in the world. So I think there's certainly a change there, but I think that the reasons for that are because of all of the technological changes, the social upheavals. I keep going back to the 60s. That's such a pivotal time of the 20th century. We had the civil rights movement, the women's movement, Vietnam, and a lot of those social norms and constructs was just sort of the upheaval of long held norms about certainly. And again, I got to localize this a little bit. Just in the United States, all the upheavals, Watergate, which I'm a big fan. For some reason, I just follow any Watergate piece I can find. I just like to watch. There's been so much distrust that's been built in the common order or the structures, that people have gotten a lot more cynical and therefore have decided not to, sort of go their own way and just introduce all these, different ideas because they couldn't trust the what was, given to them for so many years. So I think certainly, time is certainly has men on the defensive, if your question is say towards men. But at the same time, go back to years past, men did a lot of damage in this world. And when we see things like what we're seeing now with Russia or whatever, we're shocked by that. But what we're seeing there, it used to happen in a day in warfare. So I think we're somewhat spoiled by these times, but times are definitely speeding along. I don't know if I answered your question properly, but it's like I said, it's pretty complex. But this last 50 years has certainly been transformational.
Absolutely. Arpain, you're muted.
I have to make sure I mute myself because I talk so on these other panels. I'll be just bumping in. You know, it's funny. I say this a lot to people. I don't think the nature of man or woman, for that matter, has really changed. Just the tools that we use and abuse has impacted the way we live. And, you know, for men, which we're talking about, I think we've been working so far outside of our nature, it manifests itself into the dysfunction that we're living through today. Now, I'm not talking about being like a caveman that just grabbed the honey by the hair and just dragged her into the cave and all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that, but that's kind of part of it. I think we've moved so far from our natural order of things. You know, we're seeing that manifest in the world. Now, there's reasons for that. Cultural degradation is part of that, and environmental laws are part of that, and whatever else. But our basic nature is pretty much the same. But we're not acting within nature. And I'm gonna land it on this one. I have an example. I think, and I could be wrong, that being a man is not an easy thing, right? And we should all know that, right? When we're born, we have to make our way in the world or we perish. We just perish. There's no safety net for us. We got to do something that's worthwhile and make ourselves useful and meaningful to ourselves and the people around us, And so that's why, and this is going to sound crazy, but I don't want to go down that path, but I'm going to say this. The reason why I think there's such a rise in like homosexuality for men is because the guys don't want to, have that pressure. The transgenders and all that. I don't think they want to have the pressure of being men. So they go effeminate and they do all those things. And then there's variations to the theme, emotionalism and all that kind of stuff. But that's just one thing. I don't want to just say that's the main thing, but that's a part of it, for example. So, there's a lot of things, and we could try to blame it on all kinds of other things, but I don't want to start to go down that path. But I think if we get there, but based on the conversation tonight, we'll do that. But I just think we're working outside of our nature, and it makes a difference. That's it. I'll add it on there.
All right. So, Reckless, what are your thoughts?
Can you pause at the question one more time? I was rushing.
Yeah. Do you think that men are conforming now, just to everything, just accepting everything, because they're just tired? They just don't want to deal with it no more. They're just tired of the fight. I don't want to do it anymore.
No, I think that men right now are a product of a soft environment. I think men right now are a product of consistently lowered expectation. I think men right now are a product of, I'm not going to do that to my kids. I think men right now are a product of, I'm going to be my child's friend versus my child's parent. We have created a society that has gotten so weak. This isn't men across the globe. This is men specifically in America. It's men in the West that are capitulating and being weak. And it's because we've dominated for so long. This is a natural process for when you're a winner. When you start winning at a certain level, that's how winners fall off, is they get comfortable. We are comfortable. Most of us are so comfortable that we the slightest discomfort, the slightest inconvenience. Oh, my app doesn't work. Meltdown. Come fix it. That's your problem. Oh, Netflix isn't loading. That's your problem. There's people that are like right now, someone in India didn't get a grain of rice and died. They starved to death. Right now too. Probably right now as well. So I don't think that men have given up. I think that we live in such a soft environment that it makes it to where men feel that they can let that guard down. They can. There's not a natural consequence for being a weak man right now, aside from feeling bad. But like, honestly, you get attention, not the attention you want, but you get some attention. You can get your dopamine hit from getting on here and complaining about how your life sucks and being sad. Everywhere else, you get the privilege of no longer being on the planet. They get you up out of here. Somebody gets you up out of here, or nature gets you up out of here. This is a first world problem, and it's a problem that's cultivated from a society that has won. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It's not even surprising. Things are nice. Good times bring about soft men, and soft men bring about hard times. I'll land it there.
Right. Can I follow up real quick? So Ray, I like how you phrase that, how it's been a first world problem. So do you think that what we're seeing here, do you think it's inevitable?
Yeah.
Given history, it's inevitable. You go from a third world, from starvation, war, whatever. You build an empire, you do whatever, and is it just that just goes with any institution, any structure, a company? You're hungry in the beginning, like I'm not speaking this for you because I know you're grinding.
Yeah.
But you're building a company, you're building a brand. Now, once you get to where Ray is ubiquitous, could you get could you fall off?
I mean, I purposefully make my life hard because, like I was saying earlier before the show started, like I'm not the type of person, like you'll see me crash out if I start getting soft. I'm just not built for that. Like if I sleep too long, my body physically starts to hurt. Like when my body goes, "Oh, you're resting," that means you're about to be up out of here. Let's go ahead and atrophy now. Let's get this over with.
Right.
For me, the more energy that I have, the more destructive I am, because like I'm diehard set. I'm a conqueror. Like that's what I want to do. The lights go off. I'm not going to be worrying about who can build shelter. I'm going to be taking shelters. I'll be taking resources 100%. So that's what I want to do. But societally, we don't get to do that.
You might be the first. Like I said, I'm sure every conqueror said the same thing. So you may be trying to set yourself up to be the first one to break the cycle. But
you gotta dial it back. But like for me, like I have to. My life is set up the way that it is. Like I can tell you straight up. Like a year ago, I looked at my BMI. I got one of those digital scales, and I got on that scale, and my body fat percentage was at 20%. Now I didn't look bad. I didn't physically look bad. Like I put on my body, like I work out and I train so often and so much, but like during COVID, I put on a little, actually I didn't even put on weight. My body composition changed because I was more sedentary. And I looked at it and it was at 25%. And I was like, this is unacceptable. and I went and fixed it. And like, I still basically look exactly the same. It's just, I'm more cut now. And I was like, I don't like that number. That's not acceptable. That's not my standard. But because I didn't have the scale, I didn't know. So I didn't even know that. So like, I feel like complacency creeps up on people.
Yeah.
It's the little thing. It's the, I'm going to get up and I'm not even going to do a bad workout because I'm tired. I mean, after the show, we're going to chat it up for a little bit. I'm going to get probably 3 hours of sleep and I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to do something. Actually, it doesn't even matter because at this house, I got a sauna and a swimming pool and a gym and like an actual gym. So I'm getting up and working out tomorrow regardless because the things are right physically here. I got to walk down 2 sets of stairs. But under normal circumstances, when you wake up and don't feel well, we live in a society where men get to feel a certain type of way. I don't feel like it. I feel tired. I'm not going to train today. And then that turns into I'm not going to train for months. And then that turns into you have a body that's shaped like a pear. It creeps up on you. And then the next thing you know, like you're so far down this road where everything's easy that now you've let that go. Now everything else is easy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be from the fitness perspective. It could be, I'm gonna go buy an extra Starbucks today, which affects your health. But now your finances are jacked up because you bought like Starbucks like 8 times a day because you feel like it. It's the little things and they add up, and then you're so far down this road that now you're completely undisciplined. And like I tell people this all the time, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I see somebody slipping at one thing and I call them out on it, I'm like, this is going to spiral into everything else. It's infectious.
I hear you, man. My BMI is squared.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
our pain.
I'm working on it, man. Working on it.
So,
Well, I mean, but that's what we're supposed to do. We're men. We're supposed to work. That's just what it is. You set a standard, and even if it's hard, like nobody's going to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect at a bunch of stuff. But I'm disciplined enough to know that if I'm in a spot where I'm just like waking up every day and I'm like, man, I'm comfortable. I feel soft. Like I'm not working. I'm not working at anything. I don't ever want to get to a space where I'm complacent, because I believe that complacency is the beginning of your descent towards death.
Mhm.
Like if you're not pushing against something as a man, you're going to either die mentally or you're going to physically expire. Like we're just not built to be sitting around laying in a field. We're not built to not work. We have more genetic data of us working and toiling to death than we do of us just being able to lay in a field and everybody can just be on the same level and we're all just friends. Like it doesn't work like that. Like we're not mentally capable. And a lot of the mental health issues that you see in men today is because we in a first world country in the West don't have something to push against. It's just like when people get these dogs that are you get a German Shepherd and just have it lay around all day. That dog will be depressed. That dog will end up with a weird shaped body. Like that dog wants to do things. It has a purpose. It's really close to its ancestors. It's like, I'm almost a wolf. I need to be out here doing stuff. You can't even throw diapers away around German Shepherds because the scent of human feces is something that in a wild attracts predators. A German Shepherd will eat diapers out of the trash to get rid of them. Yeah, because they inherently know, and they're just like, yo, you can't be doing this around here. Like, this is going to bring a bigger dog than me. I don't want to have to deal with that. Like, we got to get this up out of here. But things have purpose on this planet. And like, if you take something away from its purpose for long enough, you end up with a German Shepherd that turns into a pug. Pugs are worthless. And their eyes fall out.
Wow.
That's the truth.
Lost in translation. Meg, I don't know if you can follow that, but lost in translation. What do you know?
Listen, on the surface, it appears as if men have acquiesced to the environment that we have. But from the warrior class, we ain't going nowhere. We here. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is this. We've been taught to move differently. And I'll tell you why. When you see great men like Kennedy get cut down, when you see men like Malcolm X get cut down, when you see guys like Martin Luther King get cut down, there's an old Chinese proverb that says the nail that sticks out get hammered. So guess what? We have to move differently. We have to move differently. We have to move in silence. You see what I'm saying? The wars we used to have to fight in broad daylight, we have to go at night. We have to move differently because men get canceled. You know what I mean? Folks will cook up stuff on you. Look what they're doing to the president. They both presidents, the old one and the new one. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you stick out, they're going to come get you. So guess what? Men change their tactics. Now, on the outside, it appears as if men have acquiesced, but we haven't. We just move differently now. So don't get discouraged. Anytime you see something, it may not always be what you think it is. You know what I mean? Men move differently now. You know, there's a reason why men met in silence during the Revolutionary War. You know what I mean? There's a reason why that war was won. You know, when the British came, they were standing up in the line, but we were jumping out of trees. They weren't used to that. So what we do as men, we change our tactics because we have to. You see what I'm saying? So don't get discouraged because we're still moving. We're just moving a little bit differently.
Appreciate that. All right, beautifully animated. And then we're going to get a clinical perspective from the Dr. Nkumbe himself. So what are your thoughts?
What was the question again?
Do you think men have become complacent? Or have they just saying, you know what, we're just going to conform to whatever's going on. We're not going to stand for nothing else. I'm just tired. I'm fighting every day. I don't want to do it no more. Do you think men have gotten to that point?
I mean, if they have, right, I'm not surprised when they're constantly being beaten up and disrespected physically, verbally, and all that stuff. You get beaten down. If you're not strong enough, you're going to get beaten down. If you're not strong enough to stand up to it, it will wear you out until you just like no energy.
Yeah.
I don't even think they have the energy to crawl. You know what I'm saying? Like just nothing. So, I mean, I'm just so used to seeing so much negativity. So, yeah.
Wow. All right, man. Well, last but not least at all, Dr. Nkume, from a clinical perspective, everything that you've heard on the panel so far and the question that I've posed to everyone, what are your thoughts?
A great question. You know, if you put two babies on an island, male and female, research will show that the male would be the more dominant one, the more everything from athletic all the way to the way they lead or protect. And when you become conditioned to do your job, and then someone either feels like they're as good as you, greater than you, no longer wanting to feel intimidated by you or the process, and they take on the challenge of proving they can do it, and that in an inviting way, you don't have to do so much. But when that goes against the grain, then it becomes confusing. And then when you're hit at every angle, so there's the one that invites you to be more nurturing. That's an invite. There's the one that says, no, you won't be in control. So that angle is, and my point about all these different angles, and I was just asking Reckless, he was talking about the BMI, and I'm like, because the Harris tribe, they were talking about nutrition. You know, that's another angle where if I know a certain group of people eat a certain way and what they put in their body, that's another angle. So like all these different things, parenting laws, work, that's exhausting to keep up the fight. So I think they've gotten tired, but that tired is, I equal that to like playing a sport where you're going to take a time out and regroup, not a tired as in stay down. And I think we have enough people in the community that we recognize when people look tired, and we even invite them to sit down, let us take it from here. The challenge that I have is if you have consequences that come with it, how are people able to handle those consequences? So if you grew up in a home that was filled with conflict and you were always ready for the fight, then you're going to continue to fight. Like you invite this change, you invite these changes. If you grew up in a home when people fought, you were intimidated and afraid and stayed out of the way, then the current, haymakers and different policies and different don't do and the different consequences intimidate certain men, and the consequences, they're more afraid of the consequences than they are of living or leading or pushing through. And some are so worried about their consequences and not thinking about that future. Like if I give up now, what's that say for the next generation or the generation after that? And then I'll land with this. Pacquiao, there are a few people, I don't want to say Tyson, but there are a few people who they went into it hungry. They went into their whatever hungry. And once they reach a certain level, the thirst wasn't there, the hunger wasn't there anymore. And it seemed like they dropped off. They become, they seem weaker. But it was really the passion that they were fighting for. So I don't want people to confuse a man being tired and a man recognizing he's done as much as he can do. So he's sitting back to let others take over. That's a different type of exhaustion. That just means the passion is no longer there, and they either need a jolt for that passion again, or they need to know how to get out of the way.
All right, man. Thank you for that perspective. So what I want to do something a little different.
Wait. I was talking.
You muted.
You muted me.
No. I heard the sound, so I muted everybody. But go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
Between those two different men, Dr. Nkume, I think the one that has been defeated will look defeated and the one that is like chilling will look content. So I still think you would see a difference between the two men.
You know what? That is a great perspective. And the one I'm gonna let you cook, Doctor, because I know you're finna get it. But Trey just made a great one. Victory has made you weak. Now I don't know if anybody has seen that particular Batman series or that particular movie, but Bruce Wayne was out for a while. Batman hadn't shown his face in a long time.
Yeah, I did see.
And he came back and thought he could just suit up and run into the first bad guy that he could, and he whooped a few other guys, little guys. But when he met with Bane, and Bane put his hand on those clothes, and he said, Mr. Wayne, and Bruce thought he could go and defeat that after he's been sitting down for a while, not doing nothing. Just what Reckless just said, sitting down, not doing something. You had a purpose, and you sat down on your purpose, and think about what happened to him. I mean, Bane really, he destroyed him. And then, so I think that, that is a great perspective, Trey. I appreciate that. That is a great perspective. So, Dr. Nakumi, what were you about to say?
I was just going to say, absolutely. There are people, again, if you think about the mission. So if I didn't feel heard as a child, if I didn't feel respected, my goal is to make sure we are heard and we are respected. But the tricky part is some people also require a team approach. So even thinking about the Batman story, he wanted to do the most, the Salvation Army most, like he was doing too much while at the same time not taking care of himself. Right. He has Alfred, but he was doing too much. He needed to repair. I think about what Reckless said. Reckless says he can't even really stay in kind of quiet, relaxed mode. It has to be constant go. And once that battery dies out, I'm cool with it, but by the time that happens, I should have gotten everything taken care of that I need to take care of. Some do, but they don't take care of themselves. They just go, and they just get tired. And some do it in a way where they think that they're helping, but it's so selfish. That's when you hear those stories about people selling out and people doing this for the community, but really it was to benefit them. So I do agree with what Beautiful Animated was saying. And I also like to add, the people who we can see that they're either tired or they're doing it selfishly, how do we adjust to that? Because they may be in the way of those who actually want to do something. And if they are influencers, they are influencing the people who we're trying to get to, and that can cause another problem as well.
Yeah. Now, when we talked about, Sheree put something great in the back chat about the 70s. I'm gonna let her cook on that after my comment here. But I was watching this doctor today. He's getting real big on YouTube. He has his own channel. He's a nutritionist, and he was talking about sugar. And he said that sugar, he started speaking about sugar and said sugar has the same effect as cocaine on the brain.
Facts.
And he was saying that anywhere in the world you can go, you won't find a sugar tree. He said you won't find a sugar plant, sugar tree, sugar nothing. He said it's extracted from cane, it's extracted from beets, and then they process it, and then they turn it into high fructose corn syrup, and then they put it in everything. And and he said that's why you see. He said because he had a grandmother lived to be 108, an uncle lived to be 105. And he said they were still climbing in trees and still doing things around the house and on the roof of the house, and then they were able to do all that things until they passed away. He said because they ate clearly out of the garden, no processed food. He said when they killed some beef, right? The beef was not processed, no chemicals. It was just meat there. They stored it, cooked it then or the next day or whatever. And he said everything came out of the garden, and they lived long, prosperous lives. He said now the average age right now is 60. People are just out of here, not even making it to 60 because of that. So, I mean, Sheree, enlighten us on what you were talking about in the back when you said about, back in the 70s, Black women were much smaller.
Yeah, I was muted as first. Yeah, so it's just, even if you look at old clips of back in the day, you will see it's a ton of women in the 70s. Those old videos, I recognize that. I remember one time I was watching some documentary and I was just looking, and I'm like, everybody's so small, and it was like I was just looking, and I'm like, they're really small. So I was just, but they were still, but they were still built too. So black women are more curvy than white women. And they still had their behinds and they had their hips, but they waist and their arms and everything else they were very slim. And also, what really made me think about it is back then, Big Mama was cooking. She wasn't Big Mama at the time; she was just Mama. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Mama was
Right.
cooking. Mama was fixing the food. She didn't really, that's why even Eddie Murphy had the joke, "We got McDonald's at home," because they were cooking. It wasn't they weren't looking to go get McDonald's or looking to go get Wendy's or anything like that. And it wasn't like they didn't have them. I think Wendy's came out in 1963. So it's like I think that we just choose to eat differently. We don't, and then if you think about it, I don't. It's more so you run into women who do not cook. You just do. You run into women who, and some of them know how, they just choose not to because they're working. We're also working. Women are working more now. So I think sometimes we don't think about what it is that we're putting in our bodies, and we're just go, 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 go. Everything is accessible, so it's easy to go ahead and get everything that we think we're supposed to eat or whatever is in our hands, and we just don't think about it. I know for myself, when I saw the BMI scale and I said, I'm like, I was like, Ray, I was like, I'm 20, 30 pounds over the BMI. What? I worked on that so fast. I'm in the BMI right now. I'm so blessed. I'm so glad I worked my butt off to get there. It was like, and this is the smallest I've ever been in my adult life. And it's crazy how a lot of times they say in your 30s you be in your best health. It's true if you really work at it, because in your 30s you just feel like bouncing. But yeah, so I know
I was also
a little bit off that. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of paying attention to what does what to your body and things like that. And I think they didn't have to worry about it in the 70s because Big Mama was cooking. So I think that's why I brought up the 70s. I just thought that was crazy.
And let me say this real quick, beautifully. I mean, I'm gonna give it to you. And back then, men were out in the yard, out in the field, working on their cars, working on their truck. They were uptown, downtown with the uncles, with the brothers. Like there was nothing to do to sit down and binge watch and eat popcorn and fried chicken and binge watch Netflix. Like there was nothing, you couldn't do that back then. Men were just out. They were out. You right? My grandfather was never in the house watching TV. I was like, God damn, is he coming in today? Granddaddy, you out there? Like he would never be. He was always outside building something, hammering something. But I mean, just every day, all day. And I'm like, damn. So I think that things have made us become more complacent, right?
But Black Man, this is why I started out with talking about again the changes. All we're talking about is changes in the last 50 years.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that certainly there's been changes. Like the point I was making in the back, they started using high fructose corn syrup in the 70s.
Wow.
People were eating sugar, like black diets. We weren't eating the health. Remember, we were given the worst of the food. Soul food was basically from the worst of, we couldn't have the high stuff. So they gave us the hog maws and chitlins, all that kind of stuff. So our diet has never been correct.
Stellar, right.
but once they started, they swapped out because it was cheaper. They started using high fructose corn syrup in the foods. That was certainly a game changer. But then with the point you just made about the work, again, come the 80s. I remember 1982. I got my first Atari 2600, going way back.
Wow.
Right? So again, you spent less time outside playing football, baseball, whatever it was. You start spending more time playing video games. Economy, digital age, information age, work itself changed. A lot of those jobs that were in the factories, God, you would, work 8, 10, 12 hours in the factories. Well, those factory jobs got shipped overseas. And then you started getting more of these office jobs, cushy jobs where you sit for 8, 10 hours a day versus working out and, doing physical things 8 to 20 hours a day. So again, all these things, these changes in the society that have happened because of technology, because of convenience, that we started being paid more by our minds than by our physical bodies. And then we neglected the bodies. We didn't understand that, okay, well, if you're going to be sitting, then you need to then replace that with physical exercise. Now that also came about, pumping iron came out in 1975, and the exercise boom came out then with the fitness exercises, the Taibo, and all that stuff that came after it. Gained fonder workouts, but still people didn't, the means were available, but did people really take advantage of it the way it was there?
Right.
So all of these things all kind of hit at the same time. It wasn't just one thing. It was you would get, it's like a multi-pronged attack. And now we find ourselves in a state where we're unhealthy. But I think as far as our lifestyle, as far as our attitudes towards things, I don't think that's really changed that much. But the chemical, the activity and the chemical physiology, those things are definitely things that change.
Well, I was talking about.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry, beautiful.
I was talking about my experience. So 20 years old, fresh out of high school, and 19. And I fluctuated. My weight was between 135, 140. I was 5'2". Now I was cut. I was in the RCC. I was always exercising, doing PT and stuff like that. I've always been solid. This is a term that my aunt told me, that I was solid, and my cousin was softer than me. So even though she was slightly bigger than me, I weighed more than her. Right? Going to the doctor's office, the BMI chart says I'm supposed to be 119. I would have to be sick to be that size. So that's why I do not trust the BMI. I will not do it.
The thing about the BMI chart is that it doesn't account for muscle mass.
Facts.
Right. That's the biggest problem. Because according to the BMI chart, I'm never gonna get down
morbidly obese.
Right. I'm never gonna get down to 155, 160 pounds. I'm 5'8". I'm supposed to be 155. I'm like, no.
Right.
That's not half.
Yeah.
There's too much muscle on the frame. It ain't happening.
It would be so annoying going to the doctor every time, the same doctor, and I'm being told that I'm overweight or heavy or whatever. I'm just like, we're going to end this conversation because I'm not going to be repeating myself.
So the way that I've always looked at that, because I wanted to specify, I said my body fat percentage. That's what I look at. So I have the body fat percentage of an elite athlete. It's under 10%.
Now that I can go with.
That's what I'm gauging on. A couple of other things though that I think people don't realize, because we live in a first world country and we've just been indoctrinated into the way that we eat.
Mr. Minute.
People don't eat every day like when they feel like it. Like we didn't evolve from people that just had copious amounts of food. We have access to more food than most, as a first world country, than most people get. Like you think about it, we evolved from people that had to kill something to eat it, or had to forage and find something to eat it. We eat when we feel like it. What's the longest anybody's gone without eating intentionally? Like I fast for at least, I'd say 16 to 20 hours every single day. I have a window where I eat.
And then on top of that, nothing fucking close. So even if you're watching TV, you can lay up and watch TV all night. Hulu, Netflix, Prime Video, fucking CNN. It's just running. I remember when I was a kid, they used to show the army men and the damn flag going off, and then TV would just shut the hell off until the next day, right? I mean, now it's just you can watch it consistently. You up all night. You're not getting the rest that you need. Law and Order's on. It's a marathon on. You didn't watch 15 episodes. You look at the clock. You're like, damn, I got to be working 2 hours, right? And then now everything's still open, right? Oh, shit, Wendy's open. It's 24 hours. Raising Cane's still open. Shit, Burger King, 24 hours. Like, you can get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go get a fucking big-ass, cheesy-ass, greasy-ass hamburger and come back home and binge watch TV and lay on your ass all day. That's it's just crazy, right? And so, goddamn.
Bless you, Mandrell. Don't die.
Is he okay? I just want to stop for a second and just make sure my boy, you good?
Swell.
Okay, I want to just make sure. When you sneeze, the back of your head can't. Your hat tickled up a little bit. I just want to make sure you're good. Anyway, but yeah. So one of these things about. I'm glad we started with the nutrition part, because to sit your ass down if you're not doing the work, it applies to all. It applies to. And I'm not going to call nobody out here. I'm talking about me. Like it applies to me too. I've had these conversations with Mandrell. Mandrell, this is transparency, guys, because I think transparency is the best honesty. Like Mandrell told me, hey man, I don't care what you gotta do for your kids. I don't care about no fucking show. Get your big fat ass up and go to the fucking gym, right? And this is the and this is the brotherhood that I have with the guys that I talk to behind the scenes. Mr. Bennett, same thing. Mandrell, same thing. Like they own your ass. Right? Mandrella called me. You in the gym today? No, I didn't go today. Get your fat ass in the gym. I don't want to talk to you no more till you in there. And I'm like, God damn, let me take pictures while I'm in here and send it to him. Shit. So
let me add to that. You know, because men talk to each other like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women really can't. They don't do that. But men talk to each other like that. I get that too. I retired because I was so out of balance. I said I need to get the hell out of work. So, you know, so I can at least, you know, stop using the excuse of working 50 hours a week and not getting in the gym the way I did. So I said I put my time in. Let me get my time back. Now I have no excuse to use some of those 50 hours to at least get in the gym. And I didn't mean to cut you off. My daughter moved out. You good. My daughter moved out of the house and I converted her room into a gym. I had like exercise equipment. I should be Adonis by now, all over my house. I put it all in that room. Bought a TV and all that kind of stuff. The place looks like a regular gym, you know. So I got to go in there every so often to make sure no dust is collecting on the stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's all there. So I try. I'm up to like 3 times a week, and I need to get that to more like 5.
Right. You know what, black man? Here's the thing: a lot of people keep missing it. Yes, you can go work out, you can do all this other stuff, but if you don't eat the right foods, you're messing up. My thing is this: you know for a fact, as coaching football, you have to eat foods that are bioavailable for you to absorb. So if you're not absorbing the right nutrients, the right amount of water, all you're gonna do is crap it right back on out. You know what I'm saying? So we have to eat more foods that are grown. If I put it to like this, if it had to be wrapped by somebody else, you probably shouldn't be eating it. You know what I'm saying? You probably shouldn't need to be eating it. So if it's a fruit or a vegetable, preferably if it's raw. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all have ever seen the I think it was the movie, was it Fat and Sick or whatever? And the guy put out a cheeseburger under a glass, a McDonald's cheeseburger, and that cheeseburger did not decompose. You know what I mean? And they've had people who had cheeseburgers in their pockets for years.
Yeah, there's a lady. Yeah, there's a lady that has there's a lady that has a Big Mac in her closet that's been sitting there for 18 years.
Right. Now imagine if that's in your system. How good is that? How good is that for your system, man? You know what I mean? Like if you leave out like a cucumber or something like that, within a few hours, it's starting to decompose already. Stuff growing on it. You know what I mean?
Watermelon.
That stuff has micronutrients in it and stuff like that you need. But if you're eating highly processed food, that's not going to help you out. It's not going to make you feel any better. And we're working out, doing all this other stuff, and we're losing minerals, we're losing nutrients. Guys are cramping up in the gym, about to fall out, can't do nothing. What good is going to the gym if you can't complete your workout? That's stupid.
But the irony is we have more information that's available today in terms of what's good to eat. But again, we weren't eating. Again, I'm just fighting against this dichotomy that we were eating better back in the day. You talk about football. Look, I played football for 1 year, and the go-to diet was they fed us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and milk, chocolate milk. And that was, if you want to get big for football, coach would say that was the diet. There was no lean chicken breasts and steamed broccoli and brown rice and all this kind of stuff that's available now. No, you want to get big football, drink a quart of chocolate milk and 3 or 4 peanut butter sandwiches, gain 20 pounds, and that's how you play football. Again, 70s, 80s, that's how the diet was. So we've gotten more information now regarding the right foods to eat and how to understand macros and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like across the board as a society, we're still getting fatter, despite the fact that we have information. We got more gyms now than we ever had before. Options where, again, people got home gyms, all these options, but we're still somehow missing the mark in that. So again, even with the information and the access, it's not necessarily translating to results.
Well, you know why? We use the excuse of working all the time and being busy bees. You know what I mean? We use that as an excuse instead of doing what we have to do. Back then, our workout was our work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you had to go chop down a tree with an axe or whatever, or you went to go build a deck You know what I mean? Build whatever it is around the house, or cut the trees out. You was in there. That vitamin D, exposure to the sun, all of that stuff is like a cocktail. You know what I mean? For better health.
And
but
also,
we're not outside. We're not getting
now,
sunshine.
I want to say this real quick. I want to make sure I make this clear what I was trying to say. What I was saying, I guess. It was more so about the processed food and not so much about what they changed the food. Like I mentioned Big Mama cooking because she was going to the grocery store and they changed some of the food in the grocery store too, but I think that's more a little later. But around that time in the 70s, the processed food and all the mass things they were doing was in the fast food because they had to get it because of command and demand. It wasn't at the time.
The cheapest sandwich you can make was again a PBJ sandwich.
Well, hold on.
I'm talking about the stuff they're putting in it, not.
I got you. Hold on. Here's what happened. Okay, here are the facts of the matter. Okay, when they started making high fructose corn syrup, number one, they use high fructose corn syrup to fatten up bulls. They always have. That's something that's been around for eons. They use corn syrup to fatten up bulls. So you're human. What do you think it's going to do to you? Now, what happened was, it did come up in the 70s. Mr. Bennett is right with that. 80s, they were still using sugar. Late 80s is when they started switching over and using high fructose corn syrup as a sugar replacement because high fructose corn syrup is a lot cheaper to manufacture, to make, to sell. It's cheaper by far and away, and it's a lot sweeter than raw processed sugar is, right? So you use less of it, and it costs less money. It was from a business point of view, it's a no-brainer. Now the thing is, you put that in everything. Now the whole fat-free craze, that was cool. The problem is when you take fat out of stuff, it tastes awful. So they replace the fat in all the fat-free foods with sucrose, high fructose corn syrup, some kind of sugar replacement. They replace the fat with sugar, and that's why everyone's fat, because sugar is in high fructose corn syrup is in everything that you eat. So let's say you have a Big Mac meal or whatever, right? There's sugar in the bun because America is the only country I've been in where bread tastes like this. Bread is sweet over here. It is. Bread is sweet over here. Everywhere else, it doesn't taste like this. So there's sugar in the bun. There's sugar in the sauce. When you eat the French fries, it breaks down into sucrose during gestation.
Yep.
Okay. Now you have a soda that's filled with high fructose. You ate nothing but sugar for dinner. That whole meal was practically all sugar. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, people don't know these things, and the businesses don't care. They're like, hey, the information's out there. Go find out for yourselves. But that's the thing. You have to watch what you eat. Stop eating so much sugar because it doesn't have the same effect as cocaine, black man. It's the same effect as heroin. It sets off the same receptors in the brain as heroin does. It ain't cocaine. So that's why cocaine is an upper. It keeps you wired and tweaked. Heroin is a downer. It brings you down. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel good. Just like when you eat sugar, it makes you feel good when you start digesting it.
So, God, Mandrill, I thought you were going to nerd out on this. So, me being a biohacker, the main issue with high fructose corn syrup is it passes through your liver into your bloodstream.
Correct.
Which allows you to get bigger. Like you can't. So here's the reality of it. If you eat normal foods have stuff in them to keep you from eating too much. You can't get diabetes eating apples. There's fiber.
No.
You will literally fill up and explode before you can eat enough apples to get diabetes. And it's the same with most fruits because it's a whole thing. Like it tastes good, but it also has the things in it to keep you from ingesting so much of it that you harm your body. High fructose corn syrup, when it breaks down in your body, it passes through your liver and goes directly into your bloodstream and then just gets turned into fat. And there's nothing stopping it. And you can ingest more of it than you can sugar because, again, sugar brings in with it other things. So you can ingest a ton of high fructose corn syrup. Go try to slam down 6 cane sugar Cokes. You won't want to do it.
Good luck.
You will not want to do it.
You'll fill up on the second one.
Yep.
You're done after the second one.
But if you drink Coke in America, you can drink a case of Coke.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. Like a lot of the stuff that they give us here is so processed that, like, literally, I tell people all the time, like, we're breaking our genetics because we're bypassing them. Like all of the early warning systems that our body gives us that are naturally inherent in our body that were made based on things in this world, we haven't evolved to process high fructose corn syrup. It's gotten so bad to the point now to where you can be skinny fat. That's where you bring it in and your body actually doesn't process it the same way that it would in a person who ends up getting morbidly obese. It just cakes everything inside of you in fat. And then you still have the same health issues of a morbidly obese person because the fat just cakes on top of your organs. And then that kills you.
And it's because the body. It's because the body honestly doesn't really know what to do with the high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
So it just puts it anywhere. It just puts it in your fat cells and it stores it right there. And then the more of it you consume, the more fat cells you develop, the more high fructose corn syrup is being stored in the fat cells, and your body's still trying to get rid of some of that for its own health issue. It knows what needs to go. This whole stuff we're storing called fat. It just can't get rid of it. It doesn't know what to do. Really doesn't know what to do with fat. That's why it sits on your body until you burn it off, and it just puts it somewhere. Like for most men, it tends to be around the midriff. Women, the hips and the glutes and thighs. It just puts it where it can. It doesn't really know what to do with it.
So let me,
you know what I mean? So
it goes to the right places.
Yeah. Before we move to the next segment here, 15 seconds for everybody. For those who are watching right now, who aspire to get in the gym more, and people who are working mad hours, and people who want to be in the gym or need some type of motivation, let's have a solution to that right now. I want everybody on the panel get 15 seconds for each person to just say what needs to be said in order for people to be inspired.
Let me go real quick. If you
go ahead. Okay.
Listen, the most insidious thing about this conversation you had is that the sugar lobby changed from calling diabetes what we used to call it, sugar diabetes, to just diabetes. But the answer was right there. But as far as getting back in the gym, the first thing, like some of the gentlemen spoke about, is getting your diet in order. Me and the wife, we have a plan, and we try to make sure we eat no later than 3 or 4 o'clock every day. Right. So we have the rest of the day to kind of burn it. And, for breakfast, we have like a shake or whatever it is, plant-based shake with, no sugar in it. And we do that all the weekdays, so it kind of, so I lost around 60 something pounds. And and to me, it's like just a drop in the ocean because I got so much more. So I'm trying to work on the next 60. But we're trying to do it, so in our house, me and her, we're like not empty nesters. My daughter's, she's working, but there's us three. She don't have to worry about it. The kid has, I need to take a cue from her because she doesn't eat unless she's hungry. She does not eat unless she's hungry. And it's very small portions. So she's nice and slim. She doesn't take after her pops. That's for sure. But anyway, so I'll just leave it there. But for other people out there, don't get discouraged. Just find a path for yourself and start slow and stick with it. Don't try to overdo it right away. Like for me, I said I get in the gym 3 times a week. I probably need to be in there 5, but you got to work it up. You got to work up to that. And then first get your diet together, like some of the gentlemen people said here, and then go to that next. And once you start building those new habits, then you're on your way.
All right. Now 15 seconds. Rick, let's go.
Every morning, do something. My morning workout routine that I do during the week when I'm not in the gym or when I'm not training takes roughly, I'd say maybe 30 minutes. Maybe. Do something every morning. 20 jumping jacks, 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 20 squats. Start there. It's simple. What you do every day will build. So that carries me when I don't make it to the gym because I do something every morning.
Wow.
Just do something every morning. Also, last thing, hold on. I know it's longer than 15 seconds, but check it out. Learn about foods that are healthy for your brain. If you fix your brain, you'll fix the rest of your body. Our diet, your standard American diet, is terrible for your brain.
All right, thank you, thank you so much. I'll get you last, Mandrell, and that's for a reason. Beautifully animated. 15 seconds go.
Well, of course, drink a lot of water. Let's see. Don't worry about going to the gym. You can get resistant bands with the anchor that for your doors at the house, and you can bring things to your house. Get things for your house to work out. If the gym isn't something you can get to in the beginning, I would still eventually go to the gym, but don't make it an excuse for not working out. People do yoga. Yoga is pretty much stretching. So even if you're not into yoga, you can stretch. They have straps for you to stretch your legs better, right? When I was older, older. When I was younger, I would see videos about was it Tai Chi for the elderly and stuff like that. So don't do something that you're not into because you're not going to do it for long. Find what you're into, what piques your interest, whatever, and get into it.
All right. Lost in translation?
Here's a hack that I use. I have Kroger to bring my groceries to my house. I'm going to tell you why I do that. One, it saves time. Number two, they have a nutrition tracker for every month that you order from them that shows you the nutritional value of the foods that you've been ordering. So what it is, they have a target range that you can hit. And what you do is you tweak your food based upon that. And also what you want to do is this is the hack that I did. I bought a smaller refrigerator so I wouldn't fill it up with junk. And I got a bigger deep freezer. So in the summertime, when I have availability for lots of fruits and vegetables and things like that, I fill that up in the deep freezer and use that for smoothies and stuff throughout the wintertime, so you don't have this up and down of nutrition. You see what I'm saying? So what you do is you actually use the Kroger app and let them do the shopping, and you modify whatever you're eating so that way you have the bioavailable food that you need so your body can give the nutrients that it needs. And that's how you do it, man. And of course, do a little bit of walking every day, early in the morning when it's not so hot, 30, 40 minutes. And if you can, before you go to work, to get your blood flowing. That's normally what I do. And it works out, and it cuts it off you real good. So you got to track what you're eating and also modify what you're eating, and to make sure that you plan for the future by using your deep freezer. And in my case, I use a smaller refrigerator. And also, if you eat more often fresher, it's better for your body, because sometimes people will buy a whole bunch of groceries and then it'll go bad. Don't buy so much food that it goes bad before you eat it. So plan every 3 days to get fresh fruit. And in Europe, that's what they do. You know what I mean? They order they go to the market like every other day because they don't have any place to store that stuff because the space is limited. But you don't see a whole bunch of big people over there. You know what I mean? Because they cook more often, they do more walking, they don't do a whole lot of driving. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So use that as a method to control what you put into your body. You cannot out exercise a bad diet. I'm telling you from facts as an ex-athlete, and I'm telling Mandrell will tell you too, you got to pay attention to what you're eating and make sure you drink a lot of water. You got to do that.
I'm glad you brought up the whole 3 days thing, because if you're into nutritional, like the restaurant, when you have to study for restaurants and running a restaurant, whatever, they tell you that food loses its nutritional value after 3 days. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Dr. Nakumbe?
All right. Well, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite about food. Y'all sucking all that stuff, and I'm sitting up here with
sit your butt down.
And in fact, a couple times I'm like, why? Oh man, I'm like, every time I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Got him a big glass of sugar, water, and purple.
Big gulp. Hold on. That says big gulp. I was.
Hold on, Dr. Cooper. I got you. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, so yeah. I got a tall can. Yeah. All right. But I will say this. Here's my 15 seconds. Get mentally right. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you have procrastination issues, you can do all this planning you want. Procrastination is your problem, not just the food and the dieting. If you have intimidation issues, going to a gym and getting intimidated, following a plan, feeling like you can't do as good as anyone else, your problem is feeling intimidated, not necessarily the food and stuff. If you are dealing with depression and you could barely get up to take a shower, then no one's going to motivate you to all of a sudden get up and go to the gym. So find a sense of purpose, and become mentally strong. Even if it is, my goal for today is to go for a 2-mile walk. My goal for today is just to do whatever. So find a way to become more mentally strong, a sense of purpose, and look at your pattern that you have already, like those troubled patterns, procrastination, intimidation, depression, and then plan off of that. Tighten that up, and then get more into the healthy stuff.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Bennett.
Following up on the doctor, that's why I hate when you put me after him, but it is a mental thing. 100%.
Thank you. What?
It is 100% a mental thing. One, you have to love yourself. And what I mean by that is you're not, if you're training to try to look like somebody else, you're never going to get it. You have to love the body that God gave you. You can't change it with your shoulders, your height. You can't change any of that. Can you make yourself a better version of yourself? So just as far as, eat well. My thing is eat well 80% of the time. So I hate it when we get into these extremes. It's just go from eating junk food to just no food at all. Eat well 80% of the time. Give yourself some breaks. That 20%, enjoy that 20%. You'll find yourself enjoying yourself a lot more with the 20% versus eating that stuff all the time. Secondly, if you're going to train, again, it doesn't matter where you do it, but if you train with intensity, not necessarily, don't worry about duration. Don't even worry about necessarily the number of times you do it, but train hard. Let your body recover, get some sleep, and then repeat, right? But at the end of the day, this muscle here is the one that's the hardest to train, but you'll find that when you train the body, it actually trains the mind, and there's a feedback loop that goes between the mind and the body. The more you do this, it affects this, and vice versa. So that'd be my 2 cents.
All right, sure. Right.
If I can just add about that mental loop. So if you have OCD, compulsive disorder, so like, I'm laughing about these chips, but if you have OCD where you're kind of used to doing it repetitive over and over and over, if once you start replacing this, that OCD still work for the broccoli, the carrots, the salads. So it's not like, oh no, I can't get. It's just a matter of transitioning. And then one more part about the brain, if you have addiction issues, you have to be mindful of the chemicals. They were talking about the sugar and all that stuff. So if you have addiction in your DNA, you might actually be consuming these things, not so much because you don't know any better, but because of the addictive quality to it as well.
And that's a good point also, because again, and also be mindful, you might be replacing one addiction with another one. I know people get addicted to exercise, addicted to almost like bulimia or these things where you're so phobic about what's counting, what's on the label or whatnot. I've seen people go the other way with it. At the end of the day, again, we're talking about wholeness here, mind, body, and spirit. So if you look in the mirror, you thin and you still looking like you don't like yourself in the mirror, that's right here. So you got to work on that also.
Yeah.
All right. Sheree.
They get that. I was gonna say change of mental too, but they broke it all the way down. So I'm glad they went first. So but I'm glad they even talked about it. The addiction. Mr. Bennett talked about replacing one addiction to another. Because how many times you've seen somebody who stopped smoking, all of a sudden they chew gum all the time or they suck on a lollipop. You just became addicted from one thing to another. And the sugar is no better, as we had to explain. So anyway, I would say this though, since I can't talk about the mental, I want to mention the breakdown of our taste buds, because our taste buds is the one thing that we like to use as an indicator of whether or not we're going to do something. And a lot of people will say, I don't want to eat that because it doesn't taste good. It's conditioning. You conditioned yourself to eat that, because it's the same way as somebody who was raised to be vegetarian and then they eat bacon and they're like, whoa, their mind is blown. If you change the way that you eat, then you'll eat something different. I used to eat Wonder Bread. I can't stand white bread now. Can't stand it. I only eat wheat bread. And I was forced to eat wheat bread because that's all my grandma would buy. She like, you gonna eat my bread. So I had to eat her bread, and like it. I didn't like it, but now I love it because now I've changed the way I eat. Now I've reconditioned the way that I eat my bread and what kind of breads taste good to me now. So recondition yourself. If you're saying, "Oh, I love pop. I can't give up my pop." You love that corn syrup, baby. You just gotta find another fruit juice to go drink. You can go ahead and blend you some fruit and get you a whole nother fruit juice. You just gotta recondition yourself to what you are desiring yourself to eat. You know what I mean? Just change that, because if you're trying to make a change, that means you have to make some changes. So just think about that. It's a matter of train your taste buds. Like they said, train your mind to train what you got mentally to change your body, and train them taste buds. Because if you don't change those, you're gonna try to go back. Man, I got a taste for. How many times we said that? I got a taste for. So yeah, let's change that.
Got a taste for a big gulp now.
Now,
oh my god.
But last but not least at all, man, Mandrell. The reason I wanted Mandrell to go last is because Mandrell has his side. He has a business that does this, right? And so I want him to allude to that just a little bit before we go into our next segment here. But Mandrell, go ahead and tell us about your business and how people can reach you, and how they can get their nutritional plans and all that things with your business.
Well, yeah, it's called the Fitness Hub. It's an online training business. What it is, really, you train and do everything on your own time, but I'll do bi-weekly check-ins with you every 2 weeks. Because every week, that's excessive. Every 2 weeks, we'll do a live personal check-in, virtual check-in through a Zoom call, and no one else is seeing it. None of it's recorded. It is personal. Every nutrition plan that I make for you is personalized to you, because not everybody's going to eat the same things. Not everyone can eat the same foods, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's a variety of foods. It's customized to you, your body's needs, what you're trying to do, what you're training for. Your workout routines also customized to you, because the way you train, what you're looking for, that dictates how you're going to train. If you're looking at training to be a bodybuilder, you can't train to be a sprinter, like you're running track. That's just not, no. So if you're looking for just general health, you're going to train differently than someone who's trying to train for a boxing match. That's going to be a different style of training. You know what I'm saying? You'll get general health by training like a boxer, but not everybody wants to do that. But so your workout routines and nutrition plans are all customized to you. It comes on a phone app. I make it customized to you, and it comes on a phone app. If you want to, you do have to sign up for at least 1 month of training. The nutrition plan is for 7 days a week. Every day, 7 days a week. And the training, we're going to talk in our initial consult, which is free. And we're going to dictate how much time out of your days and out of your week you have to train. And I'm going to go from there when I make your training routine. You can buy up to 3 months at a time, or you can buy 1 month at a time. It's up to you.
All right, and tell them how they can reach you to sign up.
You can reach me either through Instagram at Mandrell_21, or you can reach me on Facebook, at Carlos Harris.
CeeLo.
That's, yeah. Whatever. I can't believe I give up my government name like that. That's
he smiled real hard.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys. Make sure you guys go and support Mandrell in that. When you rewatch this, you can write it down or whatever you need to do to support that, because I think it should start at nutrition. We can't, before we move into these other segments, you do have to be healthy. You do have to have moments to be healthy. And that goes for myself, for starting with me first, holding yourself accountable, and then having people around you that hold you accountable. And I think that, think lost in translation for your words, our pain, Reckless, Dr. Nkumbe, beautifully animated, Mr. Bennett, Mandrell, and Sheree. Thank you guys for giving the encouragement to not only just people like myself who say, Mandrell won't allow me to have excuses, because I'll be like, Mandrell, listen, bro, I'm working 12, 13 hours a day. I have to be at work in the morning at 3:30. It's the end of the month.
right.
3:30.
And what I asked you, what do you do? I do my show on Wednesdays. What do you do on Wednesdays?
Right, and that's
what are you doing? Dr. Kumbe and Coach K do that show on Thursdays. What are you doing Thursday?
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Fridays you got a barbershop, but what you doing before barbershop?
Right, and so exactly.
And,
so
you know what I'm saying? So I mean, we can squeeze some time in here now.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that we're able to have an adult, mature conversation about it, and everyone had a perspective that will be able to help everyone out there that's listening. And we're not saying, I'm just talking for me. We're not just saying, we're not here to beat you up. We're here to build you up today. So if that's what and that's what we need to do moving forward. So contact Mandrell. The information's in the chat right now. Screenshot it if you're on your phone. Write it down if you're in front of your PC, and we'll go go from there. And hopefully in the next few months, we'll get some testimonies from Mandrell if they'll allow it. The people that contact you, and from myself and people like Mr. R. Payne, and we could come back and say, hey, listen, this is what we were, and this is what we are. So I'm glad to have you guys here. This is a great conversation to start. Now I want to move into the moralistic part of the conversation. When we said sit your ass down if you're not doing the work and the nutritional part of things, but now I want to move to the moral part of things. I had an opportunity to listen to Robert Madu. I don't know if you guys know who Robert Madu is, but he's funny, but the man can grab your attention. And he talked about some things 2 Sundays, I think it was Father's Day. And I asked him, could I use his content? And he was like, oh yeah, absolutely, no problem, whatever. So I wanted to share this with you guys, and I want us to break it down on what he's saying and what he's trying to say. Then after we listen to that, I would like to get a clinical perspective from Dr. Nkumbe. All right, after this. So let me pull it up real quick. All right, let me see. All right, there it is.
Earlier is unashamedly, unapologetically, and authentically African. He was born in Owerri, Nigeria in 1957. But in 1977, he pulled an Eddie Murphy and came to America, where he met my mom on the collegiate campus of Texas A&M. Aggies in the house. And for what I'm told, their first interaction was actually not in the club, it was in a library, where he rolled up on her and said, excuse me, are you from Nigeria? To which my American mom retorted and said, no, I'm not. I don't know what happened, but I guess my dad kept spitting game, and then came love, then came marriage, then came me in the baby carriage. And it's interesting being raised by an African father, a Nigerian father. Life is different when your father is Nigerian. It just is. There are situations that you deal with that other kids aren't even aware of. There are statements and speeches and pithy words that you get constantly inundated with these statements. You won't find them in the Bible, but they are packed with all kinds of wisdom. It starts in childhood. You're just playing your Sega Genesis, trying to mind your own business. Here come your daddy in your room talking about, son, cut this thing off, cut it off, cut it off. Hey, have you done your homeworks? Like, Dad, that's not even due till next week. No, I haven't done my homework. Not due till next week. Let me tell you something. Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. These are the statements that you get. Then they just leave the room and leave you in suspense. These are the statements you get as a childhood. It doesn't stop even in adulthood. Even in adulthood, this man will come up to me. I am grown. Come up to me and say, son, how much is in your retirement? It's like, first of all, that's none of your business. But if you want to know, here it is. I'll show him what's in my retirement. He looks at the account and goes, oh my goodness. Is that all that you have? So let me tell you something. If you take care of your pennies, your dollars will take care of themselves. These are the statements you get when you got a Nigerian father. One of the statements that he said repeatedly that I am still impacted by today and really is going to shape our thoughts and our journey today is this old African proverb that simply says, until the lion learns to write, every story will always glorify the hunter. Until the lion learns to write, every story will always glorify the hunter. I love that proverb right there. It is packed.
What are your thoughts so far? What are your thoughts so far about the proverb and what he said so far? Because he's going somewhere with this as far as talking about manhood and where we are as men, and how our fathers had impacts on our lives. But I think, I think he was funny with the whole daddy situation. But I do think that, where he's going with this is amazing. But what do you guys think so far about the African proverb?
He's right. He's right. Let me tell you something, man. My dad used to wake us up every single morning to the same thing. He used to say, "Rise and shine. Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream." You know what I mean? Every single day.
Yeah.
That's how you know it was time to get up. If you heard my dad say that, it's time to get up. You got to do something with yourself. You can't be around sleeping all day. So he's right. He's absolutely right.
Anybody else want to add to what we had so far?
No,
it sounds awesome.
When CBN was up here, I think it was this your page. When I told him, I said one thing about the African brothers that I love is they tell stories. They always tell stories. They all do.
Right.
And it's ingrained in almost all of them. I mean, they can't just tell you. They got to give you a story to give, so you can get the impact of what they mean.
Right.
It's a cultural thing, and I think it's beneficial. And I'm not African, but I kind of do that myself. But I do that with my daughters when I was raising them. Like my oldest daughter wanted a lock on her door real quick, and instead of telling her she couldn't have a lock, I just told her to go get all the mail. Go get all the mail, and I just started looking at it. I said, "Which one of these envelopes has your name on it?" She says, "None of them, Dad." I said, "Well, when you get your name on those envelopes, then you can get a lock on your door because I'm paying all the bill." I said, "You're lucky you even have a door." and she never brought it up again.
Hey, now let me say this. Go ahead. Because I just want to add this.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of taking a little bit differently because, and again, I'm surprised Mandrell hasn't said anything at this point. He's always dissing Africans, but I'm thinking we talk about all these African proverbs, but what is the state of Africa right now? So I'm like,
that's why I had no reason to say anything.
And the second thing is, the second question I have is, when does the African become an American? Because a lot of those people who come, which isn't many, you're talking about the top 10% who come here. Again, they come here, not having as much access, so they can appreciate and they can certainly apply a lot of these principles. But when does the fall off happen? 2-3 generations in, do they still remain African, or do they start acting like the Americans and they get soft like we've been as we started this conversation with? So I think that his African father, coming, immigrant populations in general hustle more than Americans do. That's just a fact. But 2-3 generations are in, the kids, they start doing a lot of the same things that their parents did. So again, when does the immigrant become an American? We're right back to kind of where this conversation started. So those are my two takeaways.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is, all that talk he's doing, look at the state of Africa now.
When
I hear stuff like this, all I hear is lip service.
Yeah, but you're getting caught into the. Sorry, I mean, can we do it without getting caught into the? I mean, what continent is going to be? I mean, let's think about the proverb and what we could take away from it.
Fair enough. The proverb is common sense stuff. It's nothing we haven't heard before.
Well,
he's making a classification about the Nigerian thing. So we didn't start with that, but he's coming with the Nigerian parents. So if he's going to bring that up as a positive, then we have certainly the opportunity to be critical. If he's going to raise that as a virtue over being someone else.
Mr. Bennett, let me tell you this though. It depends on how strong they carry their culture. Their family structure dictates how long the culture stays in their family line. Right? We know there's cultures out there that are like 2,000 or more years old. Even no matter where they go, they take their culture with them, and their culture wards them against the cultural, the local mores, if you have it, right? So.
I think they have their own internal moray. I mean, we can bring CB in, and he can talk about the internal things that also hurt the culture. So again, we want to cherry pick the best things about it, but I don't want to necessarily say, okay, I don't want to turn this into an ethnic beef in terms of who's got it worse or who's got it better.
Well, there's no beef because the best things about that culture are here. Those countries are experiencing what's called brain drain. It's where things are so bad that those who are smart, those who are industrious, those who are capable leave. The exact same thing's going to start happening to America.
It's
Don't
happening
don't
already.
don't get your tizzies in a bunch. Look at if you look at the cryptocurrency space specifically, companies are just not doing business here. That's the future. We're isolated from the future. So how far are we from being in that state? Minus we got a lot of guns and a good standing army.
Yeah,
But if there ain't no smart people here, this doesn't really work too well no more.
Yeah, correct. Because I think I saw one of your analysts that was on your show, on another show, I think it was, and he said that in 15 years, I think he said that China will become the superpower, and he said if they do become the superpower, he said, what does that look like for America? He said it's time to go.
Yeah,
he said
that's not going to happen.
But the issue is, Mandrell, when you talk about superpower, China's not trying to outgun us. They haven't been trying to outgun us for a long time.
But the thing is, you're not going to beat us that way, and they know it. And they're doing it. They're trying the smart way to elevate. Yeah. However, they made some mistakes in the past that's come back to bite them, and they are still biting them, and they're going to continue biting them. And there's nothing that they can do in time to stop the catastrophic damage. But the thing is, there's some industrious moves that they made that are not panning out the way they expected it to. And you and I can talk about that later. You know what I mean? But it's not working out the way China thought it would. But America's not going to let that happen either way.
Are there lions here in America? Are there lions here in America? Right. I mean, here's the part I want to say about the lions before we get into, again, which continent, which country, which lions are known in the jungle as the leader. Okay. As the king of the jungle. First of all, what's the vetting process? Do we still have the lion leader, the father that we're watching? In fact, most male lions, from my understanding, actually don't even like the little kids. Like, they're get away. But the mother who's saying, go watch, not literally. So before someone starts debating me about, you didn't hear the lion say it. The mothers are encouraging the cubs to watch father, to watch what mother does. In fact, mothers do the hunting. So mothers, fathers, in their own way, are collaborating to help those cubs turn into kings, or turn into beasts. And that vetting process, that learning process, it takes about 1 to 2 years, and then they become beasts. But in those 2 years, they are learning. And again, they're not human. So I know you're going to say, oh, we're at a different level, but let's minus all that. Because what I'm about to say sounds weird. You don't hear the lion saying, but we don't hear the lions say, don't listen to your father. Don't pay attention to what he's doing. And we don't hear the lions. In fact, some of these documentaries I watch about the lions, they can actually call out for help. It's rare that, they hunt as a group. And there's that one that goes astray. But what happens is the strongest of the fittest. So anyway, I just want to take away some of that messaging from the proverb and what he's talking about. Because our conversation for tonight, the topic about leading and sitting our asses down. That lion who can't do it anymore, you better move out the way before we eat your ass. So that's the part I want to pull from there.
And you know what? That does happen. I saw that on my son was watching National Geographic or something, and it showed where the male lion that's over everybody, that alpha lion, right? When he gets old and he can't hunt, he can't really go anymore. Like the female lions, they rip him apart. Like they sit there and literally rip him apart, so someone else younger can come take his place and be protective over the pride. It's amazing to watch. Like I couldn't believe it. I never knew that until I watched the females. They'll surround him, and they'll just bite him real bad, and he'll just lay over and they just rip him up. Like, so, I mean,
black man.
That's only in rare cases, though.
But my question is though, with that story, do we not see that exact same thing start happening within the community?
Yep.
They think they're trying to rip us apart. like we getting attacked from within. Like, when you look at this dichotomy of like how the black community is functioning, the dysfunction in it, the gender war, all that stuff. It's almost like they view the men of this community as the old lions, except for it's all of us.
Right now, and like Mr. Bennett just put in the chat, I thought the proverb said the lion's story doesn't get told until he learns to write, like the hunter. Yeah, and it says the proverb goes, I have to remember it. The proverb goes, until the lion learns to write, every story will always glorify the hunter. Right. And so I just want to, ask that question. I know we went into the
right. So is this about us being leveling up to be writers or remaining as lions? I mean, that's kind of what I'm at. Do we need to level up? I mean, because if we want to stay in our primitive, in our tribal or whatever, but do we need to elevate so that we can control the narrative and start telling our own stories? I thought that's where this is going. So everyone's talking about being a lion, but is that the thing? We stay lions, we stay down where we are right now. We get hunted. We're not the hunters.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go. Okay, so let me play this and let's see what he says in part to what you just said, Mr. Ben. Let's see if he addresses that. Here we go.
With potent truth, because in that little proverb, with clarity and with brevity, it's letting us know the human tendency to edit our stories in such a way where we always highlight our strengths, but we hide our weaknesses. Oh, come on, don't act like you aren't that type of person that is so quick to flex what you're good at, but hide all of your idiosyncrasies and all of your issues. We tell our stories in such a way that we show our strengths, but we hide our weaknesses. And since it's Father's Day, I may as well go there. Men, we are the worst. Oh, come on. Men, we always talk about our strengths. We'll introduce ourselves with what we do. There's nothing like a man that'll let you know this is my strength, and we hide our weaknesses. That's why when we growing up, we start trying to act like superheroes and putting towels around our neck because we are quick to flex and sew the S on our chest. We want you to see our cape, but we don't want you to see our kryptonite. We don't want you to see the thing that we are battling with on the inside of us. Oh, we love to show that we're Superman, but we don't want to let you know that there is a Clark Kent on the inside of this Superman. And since it's Father's Day, can I just give a gift to all the men in the room and tell you ladies, we don't need to be reminded of our kryptonite. Come on, somebody. Brothers, can I be honest and say that there's something about somebody that'll actually speak to the purpose and the destiny that is on your life and not remind you of your weaknesses? I'm not saying you shouldn't have accountability and responsibilities, but how many know nobody has ever been nagged into purpose? Ooh, I'm out here now, and the fellas ain't even saying amen or helping me out. Nobody has ever been nagged into purpose. Nobody has ever been told, you ain't nothing, and then looked at themselves, you know what, I ain't nothing. I ought to be something. No, don't tell me about my weakness. You ought to look at the man in your life and say, I see God's call on your life. I see destiny on your life. God has so much more in store for you. I'm telling you, ladies, you will get your Superman if you would speak to his purpose and speak to his destiny and not remind him of his flaws and his deficiencies.
So which comes first?
I'm lost now.
Your understanding of God, or your belief, your core belief system that you actually aren't anybody, that you actually don't have a voice. Which comes first? Your understanding of religion, I'm talking about in life. Your understanding of religion, or you being told, no, don't pick that. No, don't get that. No, we can't. I love you. Oochie coochie coo. Change your diaper. Either you went to stinky, but I love you. I love you. Which came first? The understanding of God's love, or the belief system in your subconscious mind that no matter how shitty life gets, you'll still love me? Which is then confusing when I go to get the Snickers bar at the store and you tell me no, because you said you'll love me no matter what, but now you're telling me no, which is a form of betrayal and which is a form of rejection. Which do we learn first? Which do we understand first? Because we receive this conditioning first in the brain schema therapy, Dr. Young, the psychology way, if this doesn't land for you, no words. Psychology says you learn that first. There are some 3-year-olds and some 4-year-olds who gets God, and you see them in their Easter suit and they're singing songs and they get it. But I'm talking about the majority of the people who the psychology is being told no, dealing with rejection, feeling abandoned, feeling neglected, and questioning through if they're good enough through the thing called inadequacy. And to beat that, the reversal of that is to talk about my strengths, to talk about my best parts, to talk, and it's not even intentional. I'm not talking about the narcissistic person who is all about them, but wait. According to Adler theory, so just one Dr. Yahoo, according to Adler theory, narcissism means loving yourself 100 times more than anyone else loves you because there was a point in your life, childhood, where you didn't feel loved. So then you get into this, it's about me, it's about me, it's about me. So I just want to say what he said, I'm not here to push back on it, but I do want to invite the idea that we go off of the roots. That's what we live off of, the roots, what we learned first. And that's why people always present their best, because they're actually countering what their roots are.
All right. That's why I wanted your perspective, to have that and then have that perspective and the opinions of everybody. So, Mr. Bennett, what are your thoughts?
I'm totally confused right now. I don't see what he said after that had anything to do with the lion learning how to write to tell us on that. That's one of those. Look, maybe I might be driving down 287 and it just may come to mind and get it, but I'm totally lost. You know, how he went from that proverb to that explanation. How we got from being lions and intelligent to being vulnerable, and I don't know. I got nothing on that one. It may come to me later. So,
all right, lost in translation.
I'm not.
Let me tell you what he's doing. He's transitioning two thoughts. The first thought, when he said that about the lion being able to tell the story, sometimes the hunter don't always win. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the hunter get ate up too, but we would never know about it because the lion can't write. Now, he transitioned that into making sure that you speak to the greatness in somebody. There's a Bible verse that says the power of life and death is in the tongue and how you use it. You know what I mean? And what happens is when you talk to the good part of you, psychologically something kicks in that motivates you to do something that you probably didn't think that you wanted to do. That's the reason why some people use positive affirmations every day, or they always have something kind for somebody else to say. It actually makes them feel better. And I don't know if y'all ever seen it before. If a woman, matter of fact, I can give you an example. Do y'all remember when Leonidas looked over to his wife before he kicked that man in the hole?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she nodded and she gave him the head. And then he said, "Be careful with your words." And all of a sudden she nodded and he said, "This is Sparta." And then he kicked him down the nigga hole. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this, man, it really depends on where you get your motivation from. For Leonidas, it was the love of his wife and his country. That's what motivated him. He said, "I don't want nobody but 300 of the best men I can get my hands on, and we're going to do this doggone thing. These people going to know we here and we stood our ground, and we didn't bend our knee to Xerxes." You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I say that, is that when you use your words, it motivates that core in you. If it's in you and if it's been trained in you, all you're doing is activating it. And sometimes it's the same way if you talk to a child. If you say, "Oh, you ain't never going to be nothing," or "You sorry just like your daddy," or whatever. How does that motivate somebody? You see what I'm saying? It works two ways. Either you're going to motivate somebody to be good or you're going to motivate them to be bad. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Until that is something that's in them where it doesn't matter anymore. Or still something takes over and says, "You know what? No matter what you say, I'm going to do this anyway." You know what I mean? And you keep doing it until you get to that point. So I understand what he was doing. He was transitioning from one side and then transitioning to this, saying, you know, you can do this. You can do whatever it is you want to do, but you got to speak to the greatness, that greatness part inside of you.
All right, Arpain. You muted. Yeah.
You know, what I got out of what he said is this, that, you know, every man who's trying to do great things, of course, you have to be very careful with who you let know what your vulnerable side is, because we all have one. And, you know, when he started talking about, you know, I think he was giving a message to the women out there. If you have a guy, you know his strengths and he's promoting his strengths. But the real weapon is that you know what his weakness is, and how do you use that, or how do you guard that for him, and do you use it as a weapon against him? Because you're pretty much the only one that, if you wield that knife, you could defeat him, right? So one of the things I look at with my wife, and I'm gonna land it here, is she has an uncanny knack to let me keep my balls. You know, she understands that the best thing she can get out of me is keeping my ego intact, so I don't become some kind of fool, out there. And, I can keep striving to go forward. Now, I mean, it sounds harsher than I said, but she knows how to do that. And I don't know where she got it from, but she knows how to do that. And I reward her with always trying to make her, with always trying to give her the best that I got, because I understand all my vulnerabilities are in her hands, because she knows what they are. And that's it, but she doesn't play against them. So I think he was going down that path. I don't know what he's going to say afterwards, but I think he said, if you're a powerful man with all the kind, I'm not saying I'm a real powerful man, but you got some good things going. There's some weaknesses you have, but you need to guard them against the people who might use them against you. That's what I got out of it.
All right, Reckless.
I kind of get it. And then I kind of feel like a lot of this goes back to this first world society. Like, I mean, a lot of this is starting to sound like he's kind of gotten soft, in my opinion. I'll tell you, one of the biggest compliments I ever got was I had a guy who worked on one of my teams, and he was a Marine, because like we always try to look out for the vets, and he was a Marine, and he was a substitute. He was a stand-in, so like he could fill in for the sniper role, but he wasn't officially a sniper, and he made it clear to point that out, because like snipers are a different breed of people. But he was a rough guy, like very, very astute, very alpha, very masculine. And we had an intern. There was a kid who used to ride with us, and like he would normally ride with me, but like me and this guy were on a job site together, and he would always be like it was his first year kind of interning to learn the trade. And he asked us one day over lunch, and he was just like, okay, so, because like I was talking to him about fighting, because like he was having some issues with somebody, and I was like, well, like these are the pros and cons of fighting, but like if you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta do what you gotta do, but these are the consequences. And so me and Alex are sitting there, and Alex is like telling us some war stories, and he was like, he looks at us and he goes, so which one of you guys would win in a fight? And Alex looked at me dead in the face. He looks at me, looks at the kid, and he goes, I wouldn't want to fight him, because we'd probably both end up dying. And that was the biggest compliment that I've ever received from another man. Because I'm like, this dude had seen war. And I was like, I never been deployed for anything, but I've seen war here. So, but to be acknowledged by another person who you're like, you've done this, and he's like, I see me and you. I'm looking at you, and I see my capability there. That meant something to me. Another one of the best compliments I've ever gotten was from my girlfriend. She said when we started dating, she was like, when I'm out with you or out with you and your friends, I feel completely safe. She like that's
how it should be.
Getting that level of reverence. I mean, it's not about necessarily trying to hide my weaknesses. It's about persevering anyways. Like I don't know if it's because of the unmedicated stuff that's wrong with me, or just the fact that I'm a little bit too ignorant to listen to people. But like even when people try to pick at my weaknesses, it doesn't affect me. Like I move anyway. I'm like, I go into this thing, I call it zombie mode. It's like, no matter what you say to me, I'm getting to this goal. I'm getting to this thing that's getting accomplished. You can say whatever you need to say. I don't care. Like, I just don't listen to people. So, like, I don't have to hide my weaknesses. Somebody's like, you suck at this. I'm like, okay, well, like, if you're trying to hurt my feelings and you're attacking a weakness, for me, that's something that I can work on. All you're doing is making me a more formidable foe, because when you attack those weaknesses, I fix them. I'm really adamant about taking people's weapons from them, and then just looking at them and be like, okay, what else you got? Because now I'm awesome. What's going on? What else do I need to fix? Thank you. Like I don't look at those situations the same way. Like my brain's just not built like that. Like it says, winners only. So every time that somebody's come at me and been like, "Oh, well, you ain't nothing, you ain't this, you ain't that," I'm just like, okay, that hurt my feelings. It made me feel some type of way because you're not saying these harmful things because they're blatantly not true. That's something that I need to work on. You're exposing areas of weakness. And if your goal is to be powerful, is to be the best version of yourself, then that pain should be a trigger and the response should be improvement so that that person can't ever say that to you again. They're identifying kinks in your armor. As then this goes for anybody. If someone is insulting you, you don't write that off. There's a reason they're saying that. And generally speaking, when someone's trying to hurt your feelings, they're not hurting your feelings with things that are blatantly not true. They're going to hurt your feelings with things that are true, that you and that person both know are true. They're identifying your kinks in your armor. And if you want a good set of armor, fix the holes.
All right. We'll jump up. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, can I just add to your compliment? Because, sometimes when I hear you speak, I'm just like, wow, God, raise a God. But seriously, the part that I take away from when you talked, I also heard your story about where you learned it from. And I just want to add to people listening, not always are we benefiting for ourselves, but here I hear you say, Ray, you have a significant other, and when she's with you, she feels safe. Now, if you think about it, physically safe, I'm imagining that you have great situational awareness. That's just one area of our lives that we can increase in, situational awareness. If she feels emotional safe, that tells me you must be an awesome listener, and you help her feel understood and valued and acknowledged. If you help her feel safe, like I can talk to you about anything, psychologically I don't feel drained or like it's all about you. To me, those skill sets, those characteristics, those attributes that a person brings that another person outside of you can say those things, those are the things I say, don't sleep on what our grandparents and parents taught us that may seem outdated, old, stupid, corny, or weak, because we can actually sharpen ourselves with those skill sets and the things we watched and learned, even if it's not from Big Mama, right? From grandma, that we learned and we've become a better person. So I just wanted to highlight I think about your story and I think about people outside of you who benefit. So I just wanted to compliment you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now I can be part of one of your stories. And Dr. McCombie gave me a compliment. No,
Darn
I'm just
straight.
kidding, but no, I want people to hear how what's poured into us, we can actually pour into others. We can't give out what hasn't been deposited.
Right. Well, I mean, I was also the last of the latchkey kids. Like I really learned how to navigate through life. Like I've told people adamantly, like my social skills and my communication skills were garbage until about my senior year, probably. Like before then, from 6th grade until 25, like I was quicker to hit you than try any type of conflict resolution. And I would hit you until you went to sleep. And then I probably hit you about 10 more times. I just didn't have the wherewithal. Like I really functioned on a very low level of thinking. And it was because like I experienced a lot of abuse as a child, but I was also left alone a lot. So then I learned how to look at people around me and be like, okay, what's socially acceptable? Like what can we get away with here? How are other people interacting? And then you start gravitating towards men that you look up to. Unfortunately, one of the things my mother did do was put me around men that were worth looking up to. And so you just start dialing in on like, what are they doing? What's going on? And then getting to work in the mental health field for 6 years actually helped me sort a bunch of my stuff out too for free. So, but
so I want to get Sheree, what are your thoughts? Then we go to Beautifully Animated. What are your thoughts on what you heard? Okay, I got that.
You muted. Okay, you good.
Yeah. I am Mr. Bennett. I'm confused.
Okay, and what part of it?
I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't
that's what it's
understand the
for.
proverb itself.
Yeah.
The proverb. I'm just sitting here. I was stuck on the proverb, and then I was like, okay, what does this proverb mean? And then he started talking about vulnerability in men, and then I was like, but the lion was writing. Was he writing his vulnerabilities? I was just lost. I was just lost.
If you're gonna quote a proverb, it's best if you try to explain the proverb as best as possible, not add more confusion to it. But
Right. Okay. So we got two confused, two that decipher, and that's what the video is for. It's to invoke conversation, right? And so I wanted Mr. Bennett is telling his truth about it, Sheree, and so on and so forth. So beautifully animated. What are your thoughts?
Don't show any vulnerabilities.
But that's not what he said.
That's not healthy.
Yeah, it's not healthy, but that's what I got from that part of the, you know what I'm saying? Because he's like,
I thought he said you're supposed to.
You don't want to show your
kryptonite.
Yeah,
he did. He said you're supposed to show your vulnerabilities.
What?
That's what he said.
He said he was Superman with a cape, and he don't want to, have people.
He said that's our problem. We
said that's
go out there with our Superman case. We showing how tough we are, but we don't share our vulnerabilities.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah.
He was saying that's a problem. He wasn't advocating for men not to share it. He was pointing out the flaw.
Okay.
And I think he was asking women to, or the partners, significant others, the women, the wives, to help those men bring out the better qualities, but to be vulnerable and safe around them, right? I think that's what he was adding.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm because boy, Sheree got me kidding. She said her eyes, the bucket of the eyes before she responds, got me laughing so hard. So so I'm going ahead and play the rest of it for Mr. Ben. This is for Mr. Ben and Sheree. So we're trying to get some.
Oh my God.
Something about the reality that all of us are wrestling. We're trying to flex and show the strength and hide the weakness until the lion learns how to write. Every story will glorify the hunter. I love that African proverb because to me, the imagery of that proverb is of a man who's dragging the dead body of a lion into a village. He throws the carcass in the middle of the village and he gathers everybody around and he tells them with passion how he wrestled down the lion and how the lion almost got him, but he defeated him. And everybody watches with wide-eyed wonder the story of his bravery and of his valor. The only problem is, since you and the lion were the only one in the jungle, how do we know? How do we know if you really defeated him? How do we know if you're telling the truth about the lion or if you lying? How do we know that you really didn't wrestle down the lion, but you actually just found his dead body and all you really did was just pick up the lion and throw the lion in the middle of the village? How do we know? But you're telling the story and you're always going to tell the story to make yourself look like the hero. See, this, ladies and gentlemen, is actually why I love the Bible. This is why I actually believe in the authenticity and the validity of the Bible. Because although the Bible was written by men, how many of you know it was edited by the Holy Spirit? And the Bible was not written to bring glory to man. It was actually written to give glory to the lion. It was written to give glory to the lion. You're looking at me confused. Who is the lion? Revelations 5, chapter 5 tells us who the lion is. His name is Jesus. He is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Oh, please don't ever get it twisted. Your God is not a coward. Your God is not scared. Your God does not have an inferiority complex. He is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And I'm afraid that so many times in church, we just see him as the suffering lamb who is quiet. And yes, he is the lamb, but he is also the lion. He is the lamb that was silent as they took his own life, as he laid his own life down, but he's also the lion that roars with all power in his hands. He's the lion and the lamb. Oh, I gotta calm down, but I feel like preaching. Men, if you're looking for what to look at to be a man, look at King Jesus. He is our model of masculinity because he is the lion and the lamb. We need some men that'll be the lion and be the lamb. You want to talk about toxic masculinity? Toxic masculinity is when you're all lion and no lamb. So you walk around and you don't talk to people with respect and you're just roaring everywhere with all authority and just all lying. That is toxic masculinity. Conversely, when you are lamb and you ain't got no backbone, and this culture that wants to pacify and sissify man and just make them go, oh no, I'm fine, and you all lamb, that is toxic too. But if you want to be like King Jesus, oh, you need to be a lion when you need to be a lion. And you need to be a lamb when you need to be a lamb. That means you need to know when to roar and speak up, and you need to know when to be quiet and shut up. That means you need to know when to lift up your hands and not be ashamed to worship in church, but you also need to know when to roll up your sleeves and say, devil, you cannot have my family, you can't have my children. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I ain't waiting for your mama to tell y'all to go to church. Get out the bed. We all going to church. We all going to worship. We will be in the house of God. We need some men who will be lions and will be lambs. Ooh, I love the Bible because the Bible gives us the model of manhood. It may not give you a manual for manhood when you're born, but if you look at the Bible, God will show you what it is to be a lion and be a lamb. So I love the Word of God because the Holy Spirit edited the Bible in such a way that we get the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm telling you, if it was up to men to write the Bible, your Bible would read differently. Ooh, I'm telling you, it would read differently if it was up to men to edit their stories, because we always tell our stories to make ourselves look like the hero. I'm so glad the Bible gives us the full story. Can you imagine King David if it was up to him to write his story? Ooh, David would just have you know that he defeated Goliath and cut off his head. That's all David would tell you. He would just have you, this is me, holding Goliath's head. Oh, I love the Bible. It's the original receipts. Because God will not allow you to just see David as this man who's holding the head of Goliath. He also lets you see that David is the same dude that slid up in Bathsheba's DMs. Oh, and committed adultery and murder. Y'all not going to be real in church today. I'm telling you, if it was up to Samson, Samson would just have you know about his biceps, his triceps, and his deltoids. He would not say anything about Delilah and sleeping with the prostitutes. All that would be deleted out. Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just, oh, you know there's another song. There is another song. So y'all didn't get the other song about it. You know, Father Abraham slept with the maid. What's worse than that? His wife allowed him to. He got his wife pregnant, the maid too. Now, ain't nobody praising the Lord. Earrings off, we've pulled Isaac, Ishmael, baby mama drama. That's the other song. Don't nobody sing that song.
Mr. Bennett, go.
Okay. Wow. Doing a little bit too much for my taste. First, he said the line. He started the proverb saying the lion doesn't know how to write. However, he then says, "Well, Jesus is the lion." Now, the word says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the lion knows how to write, and that's why he was able to write the Bible the way he did, so he could show the vulnerabilities of David and all these people that he's talking about. But this is what happens when, if the show tonight is about where men are today or whatever,
Right.
We got to be a lot more critical.
Right.
When we hear stuff, because you got guys like this, they'll get in a pulpit, they'll take 2 or 3 different stories and try to weave them together and try to make the sermon out of it. He hits the high notes. He hits the stuff that people get praising and shouting about. He'll quote some stuff. People get preach happy. They go home, and then what did he talk about? But you just felt good in the moment. And a lot of the preaching, a lot of the teaching in our churches is like this, where they're just drawing on stuff to get people hyped up. But there's a lot of sizzle, but there's no meat there. So that's kind of what I got from this whole thing. I think he certainly, the idea that, yes, I mean, certainly what I love about the Bible personally is that it does show the vulnerabilities of people, that these weren't perfect men or necessarily men of the highest kind, but still they were able to be used for some good. Right? That part I get, that we're not talking about being perfect men. No one is perfect. But how he got there, He spent 20 minutes weaving a story and landed the plane roughly or what have you. But again, as men, we need to be able to check one another and say, look, brother, I think, you're getting some stuff. You need to tighten up your sermon here because, but a lot of people just go in as long as you get them happy. You said he was talking to a bunch of women in there, right? So a lot of times you get them going emotionally, you can say anything. As long as you get them waving and getting and saying amen and hallelujah and whatnot, you can say almost anything, green eggs and ham. As long as you hit those high notes, they go home happy. And we got to be a little more critical than that. So that's my critique of the whole thing. And so I still don't understand the line when how to write proverb and how we got there. I still don't understand that. So again, I might be driving. Like I said, I may get it one day. But he took a journey all the way around the world to where he could have said it a lot simpler. That's
so I'm just curious, Mr. Bennett, is that only a woman thing? Like if you get men who feel weak, fragile, doubtful, and confused, could you sell them a bill of goods also?
Well, I think critical thing. I mean, it happens certainly for men and women, but I'm saying, in these spaces, like where we, in these spaces, we talk about having debate and conversation and whatnot. I think men certainly need to be well read. I think you need to come in being able to think critically, to be able to push back on stuff. Don't just go along with it just because it sounds good. But in forums like where he's in, you have a lot of people who are there who will just go with that. And it doesn't surprise me if there's mostly women in the room that he's going to. He's a good-looking guy. So, so if your performance is good, you can get away with saying a lot of stuff, and they'll still come out with the offering plate, and those women will still give money. Right. So
I know Lost in Translation and BMU wanted to respond to, so I didn't want to take it off. But BMU, if you would capture that for us to come back to that, even if the men are weak and doubtful, they should still know, right? Because with all this messaging that we're receiving, with all the pushback that we get about we shouldn't and we shouldn't, interesting what Mr. Bennett just said about these men should still know when the limit is, how to push back, so on and so on. So anyway, at some point, hope we can come back to that.
Absolutely. And also, and I agree, Mr. Bennett, like, I'm not going to say that the church was like 90% women. I'll say probably right 60-40. Maybe.
Most churches are 70-30 right now, so right. I can't say 60. Show me a church with 40% men in it. I want to know where that church is.
Right. And so that's what. So again, like you said, Mr. Bennett, one of the things I agree with is that what we don't have. You said something that's very important. What we don't have is the ability to check each other, and we just talked about that in the nutrition. When I was vulnerable with you guys talking about how me and Mandrell go back and forth with each other, right? And Mandrell will tell me, I'll say something. And then he'd be like, hell no. And then he'll call me with something that doesn't have anything to do with nutrition. And I'll tell his ass that, what I need to tell him in the way that I need to tell him. And he's okay with it. And so I think that, I chew up the meat and spit out the bones when it comes to anything that Mandrell has to say, to me to try to help me out as a person. So again, I appreciate the fact that we can check each other. And Mr. Bennett, you're absolutely right. It is, you should have the ability to say, hey man, listen, I'm not understanding what you're saying. I didn't understand how you're trying to connect the proverb to what you were, preach and get that and try to get an understanding between each other instead of, what we're seeing every day now is if we don't understand a person, we just cancel them. Right? We just cancel people. I don't want nothing else to do with him. F him, F her. We're not talking no more. I don't understand what Sheree is saying. I ain't talking to her no more. Like it's crazy. I think we should have an understanding where I can say, Sheree, man, what were you saying when you said this? Try to pull it to the side, after the show or in the back or something. We could have a one-on-one and just try to understand each other better. So I think, Mr. Bennett, you're absolutely right when it comes to that, for sure. Lost in translation. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to tell men, people will trust you more if they can see your vulnerabilities too. You know what I mean? And there's a saying that, you don't know somebody till you see them through all their seasons or whatever. People like to hide who they really are. You know what I mean? You can only hide who you are for so long. And the biggest cornerstone in any relationship is trust. And you can't trust somebody if you've never seen them cry, if you've never seen how they act in disappointment. You know what I mean? If they've ever had something didn't quite go their way, if you tell them no a few times, you know what I mean? That type of thing. You don't know what you're dealing with. So what he's saying is that it's okay for people to know where your soft spots are. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, they respect you a little bit more because you're technically you're being humble, and nobody wants to be around a braggart or anything like that. You know, you want to tell people, yeah, I'm good at this, but I'm bad at that. And you know what? If I'm bad at that, I should have enough humility in myself and say, hey, look, I'm really bad at this. Could you help me with this? You know what I mean? You elicit help. And I think as men, we need to get good at letting each other know where we need work at. Just like you was telling Mandrell, say, hey man, I need a little work with a little help with this. And you were vulnerable with Mandrell, and Mandrell was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. You know what I mean? At the same time, Mandrell knows where to twist your knob at and say, hey, you said you want to lose weight. Well, this is what you got to do. Right. And as your friend, because I love you, I'm not going to let you off the hook because you told me you said you wanted to do that. Right. But see, at the same time, Mandrell also gets something from you as well because he respects you more because you allowed him to see that part of him. You see what I'm saying? So that particular portion of the relationship is stronger because we shared our vulnerabilities. But at the same time, we still know, you know, hey, if I want to get at you, I want to get at you, but I'm not going to do that. Right. And then if somebody knows where your weak spots are and they don't go there for you, you got even more respect for them then.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Appreciate that, man. Sheree?
See, hang on. Before you go, you just said what needed to be said in about a fifth of the time that he spun it saying it. So for a lot of men, make it plain. All right. That's we got to get better at that convo. You were able to go around the world, land the plane in a fraction of the time. He just spun a narrative to entertain people. So I'm saying kudos.
Right. And one of the things I add to what Mr. Bennett said is one of the experiences I had. I went to a Tony Robbins event. I don't know if anybody on this panel ever went to one.
Firewalking.
Snake handling.
When I tell you my job paid for us to go. So we went, and when I got there, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh my God, is there any way I can leave? But they said the tickets were hella expensive, so I didn't pay for them, but we had to be there. So we went, and when it first started, when I tell you that it was there, they were had this, it was 8 hours. Because I was like, I'm not finna sit in this damn chair for no damn 8 hours. I'm gonna sneak up out of here, or I'm finna go find me something to do around the city or something, right? That man came in 8 hours, Mr. Bennett, talking about, some men wanted plain, and for 8 hours, he just goddamn. I was like, damn, he don't never stop. He don't get tired. He don't get tired of jumping in the audience and clapping damn sticks and running around the damn arena. I said, damn, he been doing this for 3 hours. Shit. Right? But then he got everybody up, and then he shut all the lights. I'm gonna say this, I'm laying my plane. He shut all the lights off in the arena. And he said, I know there are some women here that have gone through some painful situations. I know there are some men here who have gone through some pain. Then he started talking about essay, right? We can't see it on YouTube. But he started talking about essay and people who suffer with that. And he said, I don't want to see your emotions. I just want you to be able to deal with them in a dark place so we can bring you back to the light. And he shut all the lights off. Mr. Ben, let me tell you something. When he said, release those things that are binding you, and all of those women and men start letting that pain up out of them, Mr. Ben, I was trying to find an exit. I'm serious. I was like, there's no way possible I can sit here and listen. And when he turned the lights on, there were black people hugging white people, Mexican people hugging Asians hugging. I say, damn. And it was just people just crying and just holding each other and trying to get each other through the process. And I was like, it's something that I've never seen before. And I was like, man, what is going on with this situation where all these people have this many people carrying this kind of pain around? So I agree with you. Some people need it short. Some people need I'm with you. So if I need something real quick, give me my word real quick. But some people do need the process, right? Mm-hmm. So he got them people up on a high, and then he got their trust some kind of way. And then when he got their trust, he brought them right back down and got into their hearts. And man, I mean, the way he does it, I see why he's the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. Them people paying that money. I looked at the price of them tickets. I said, I'm glad my job paid for it, because I would never do it. Walking on fire and coals, 1,000-degree fire, all this shit. I was like, okay. But at the same time, that's the point I was making. He knows how to do it short, get people high, then he bring them back down. And he gets into their minds, and whatever he does, he's like magic. I don't know what the fuck he got going on, but he really helped those people. And I seen people just really breaking, right? Having those moments where they just broke. And so I just want to say that, because I've seen that up close in person and didn't even know how to handle it myself. Like looking at all those people, transitioning all that pain up out of them like that. But anyway, back to who was next? It was Sheree? Yeah, Sheree.
Yeah,
what are
he
your
said
thoughts
my
on
name. After listening to everything he said, it seemed like it was a plate with a bunch of food that didn't go together well. I was able to take pieces here, pieces there. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. Like,
right.
I was like, okay,
yeah.
It was good. It was cool when he was talking about the African proverbs. I was with him. I'm like, this is until he lost me with the one proverb, and then I'm like, okay, where we going with that? But then I was like, okay, cool. African proverbs are nice. And then he started getting into the lions, and I was like, okay. But then when he started talking about men being able to be vulnerable, I was with him. I'm like, okay, yeah, men should be able to be vulnerable. All right, that's nice. And then he, I guess, tried to land with Christ and being the example. And I don't know what to take away from this outside, because I think a lot of the stuff that he said, I pretty much already accept and like. So I don't know. I think this was this was one for somebody who can dissect it. I don't know how to dissect this food right now. So I'm just looking at all the different portions of the food at this moment.
Yeah.
I don't just talk about not being nice.
That's
being nice. You're being nice for the sake of being nice, Sheree.
Lucky Charms, you're just trying to get the marshmallows out of it.
Right. It's just, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I guess my church, the way they break stuff down, they have their points, and they break down the points very. Right. And they stick to the point, and I'll be done. I'll be like, cool, that was a good sermon. And I walk out like I understood the point. I didn't understand the point. So I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it.
All right. And let's see. We had Sheree. Who we missing? We got Rick. Let's go ahead. My bad.
So I am a avid hater of super churches, and this is a good part of the reason why. Because it's about shock and awe. It's not about the message. It's not about having any type of impact or actually touching these people on any type of level that is beyond topical. And I haven't been, who could do that type of church, a mega church, and actually have it be legit? Tony Robbins. He could do that. But most people can't. Most people, but like the difference is like when you meet people and you talk to a person who's like a Tony Robbins or somebody who's on that level, they're a different type of person. There's an energy there. They're tapped into something else. They're able to speak into the soul or into whatever is inside of another person. They speak beyond the meat suit. And then you have guys like, no offense, this guy, and it's jump around, feel good, and walk away. And then after you get home, it's like, oh, like, I don't even know what I was happy about. Those types of churches are the ones where people go in there, get super hype, and then flip somebody off pulling out into the road. Because like they haven't been touched appropriately by any type of spirit or any type of
we're all one or the world is a great place. Like they, as soon as they get to the edge of the parking lot, they're flipping people off already and honking horns. And you know, like when you meet people like that, those are special people. Like I have one of my clients is actually like that. And just talking to him and like just being around those types of people, it like feeds into you. Cause like I'm a very negatively tilted person and I just mask it well. But like being around somebody like that, like you can feel that warmth. You can feel that like there's something else. There's something special about this person. And like you just feel good being in their presence, like whatever they're giving off. Like I don't necessarily like to say energy, but like whatever it is, they're putting it off and it like affects everything around them. And that's one of those things that is admirable. But like these guys who do these mega churches, they figure out how to do it on a very surface level, which basically shakes some money out of your pocket into that collection plate.
Can I say one more thing? Also, I just thought about.
Yeah.
I didn't see him pull out. Wait, did he mention the scripture at all at any point? I think he did like once or twice, and they kind of.
I think he mentioned like two separate ones.
Yeah, they had not. They didn't even compliment each other. Like it was just. I don't know. Yeah.
And again, he threw out the ones that everyone is kind of familiar with, like the ones that get people hyped up because you know it, and that's like the high point. But yeah, as far as connecting stuff together, I don't think he was very effective at that.
I don't think he did. And also, men don't. I want to say this. Y'all talking about men don't go to church. Men don't go to church because it's on Sunday during football season. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm done after that.
Hey, let me just add real quick now that she's done. I kind of push back a little bit on this vulnerability thing. Men have to be very judicious on who they let know what their weaknesses are.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to. I mean, and when you find that person you can't open up with, then it's really something special. I mean, Jesus Christ didn't let everybody know what his weaknesses are. He picked his crew. And he didn't share all his stuff with all of them equally either. I think he had favorites. So I think that's what we have to do. I mean, there's somebody you got to be able to be very vulnerable with, but you need to be able to pick that right, and because the person who knows your weaknesses, if it's the wrong person, it turns into a weapon very easily. Let me just land that there.
Absolutely.
Our pain. I just want to add to your point. Some people are so hungry for intimacy and connection, and they want to be tough and not share and not be vulnerable. But just kind of to our listeners, please keep in mind some of the toughest people who are also hurt or angry or disappointed or dealing with betrayal, even though they say they're tough as nails and they're steel trap and people aren't going to know my business, but they are also dying to be heard. Everyone has a story that they want someone to hear.
Yeah.
So sometimes the weakness and them sharing their vulnerabilities doesn't really, like they aren't aware of it sometimes. So I just want to add what you were saying, like, you have to be very careful who you share that with and be mindful of when you don't have the ability to keep that in, who you are around.
Right. And I want to say this here before we move on. I appreciate Mr. Bennett. I appreciate Sherelle. Like I don't want to be the type of content creator that only have people around me that agree with me all the time or agree with what we're seeing. Right. So I need everybody to have their own mindset of what they believe, because what you're saying, Sherelle, a person may be watching this tomorrow and feel the same way you do, and now they're attaching themselves to your opinion. Like, okay, so somebody understands me, and then so people now can seek a better understanding of what they're listening to, right? So I think in every situation this can be helpful. I think Mr. Bennett, what he said could be helpful. Everybody has their own opinion about the situation. Reckless Ray. And then Dr. Nakumbe putting a clinical, standpoint on it, on what it looks like. Our pain coming in on, I appreciate Lost in Translation, all you guys. So I just want you guys to know that, because I know everywhere else, a lot of people are not appreciated for being, disagreeing. with people who disagree with something or, have some type of controversy. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys for your perspectives. And Mr. Bennett taught me that too a few weeks ago. He said we got to have people to have more perspectives on the show that disagree, right? Because that's the way you have dialogue. So I appreciate Mr. Bennett too in the background, right? But anyway, so I wanted to say this last thing, bring up this last thing, and I know this is tough. This is going to be a tough one, guys. When we say sit your ass down if you're not doing the work, right? That video right there played right into what I'm talking about, right? The disagreement. Mr. Bennett said we have to be able to hold each other accountable, and we have to accept that accountability and that criticism. We have to be able to criticize, right, instead of antagonize. A healthy criticism. And so one of the things I'm going to say about the men tonight is that we need to stand in our square. We need to, as men, as fathers, as husbands, as men who may not be married at the moment, but inspired to be married. We need to stand. I think we need to stand up. We need to stand tall. I think we need to stand and protect our children, our wives, our communities, and people need to know us. One of the things I loved about my grandfather is that everybody in the community knew him. When somebody wanted to ride, they would come ask my grandfather. They want their house painted. They would come ask my grandfather, right? Everybody knew who he was. He was a hardworking man up until the day he passed away. And I think that we're losing that, guys. And it's scary to see so many men just sit down and say, you know what? I ain't doing it no more. I talked to Mandrell today on the way home from work, and we were talking about the situation with the young man shooting the guy that hit his mama, right? And Mandrell was like, man, why didn't anybody intervene, man? And men are not doing it anymore. Men are seeing women under attack, and they're saying, hell, the hell with that. I'm not protecting nobody.
And that's why I said that young warrior gave that dumbass all he was looking for.
I'm not going to get into the story.
No, my thing is because you had men in the restaurant, and nobody stepped in before it got to that point to say, hey, okay, ease up, bro. It ain't even that serious. Ma'am, it ain't even that serious. Say something to somebody to de-escalate that situation. Nobody did that.
But there's and I think, and that's what I was going to go into right now. Dr. Nkume, the first question is,
in Chicago?
Yes. And so, Dr. Nkume, I'm going to ask this question. I want you to follow up after everybody answers it. Why is it that men are not stepping up anymore to intervene in the harm that is happening to women right in front of them? Because we've seen it. If you go down your timeline on any website, any social media site, you'll see a lot of women under attack and men like, shit, I don't care. Right? So why is it that men are no longer, have they become numb? I'm gonna say it first and then I'll let everybody else go, so I won't have to go last. Have men become numb? Have men say, you know what? Are men saying, listen, I'm not protecting anything that I don't have authority over? Right? I've heard men say that. I've heard men say, we're not doing it no more. I'm not going to risk my life. I heard Trey say yesterday, I'm not risking my life for a woman I don't know. I'm not risking my life for a woman that's going to get me killed. Right? And so what are you guys' thoughts? We'll start with Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, what are your thoughts about why do men just stand by?
But it's beyond that. Let's take it even more personal. I'm overdue. I need to go back. I need to take CPR training. And I used to get certifications every year. And one of the things that the instructor had to remind me of, now I'm in New Jersey. New Jersey passed what's called the Good Samaritan Law. Because what was happening is, now if you're doing CPR, if you're doing it correctly, there's a chance you may injure the person as you
break the ribs.
You may break ribs.
Yeah, break the ribs. Yeah.
Because again, you're supposed to get staying alive.
Right.
You're supposed to. Right. It's supposed to be like we working on the dummies, and he was like saying no harder, because you got to press harder so that the reaction of the dummy is such so you can break some ribs. And people were getting sued, even though, look, I'm trying to save your life, and you suing me because you got injured in the process. So New Jersey had to institute a Good Samaritan law, said that you cannot be sued if you're doing something in efforts to help somebody else. You can't come after. But the fact that they had to even put that on the books. So just the fact that this country in general talk about the overall softness, where if you touch somebody, you know, improperly or whatever, even if you're trying to do a good thing, they come at it. So the litigiousness of the country where you could sue for anything.
Yeah.
I think it's keeping a lot of people saying, look, I'm just going to stay in my lane and not get involved, because that could, you know, because they could be coming after me for whatever reason. So it's across the board. And how many times have we been in these spaces talking about you go to defend a woman and then a woman starts hitting you because that's still her man and they got some crazy relationship or whatever, and like, yeah, they fighting it out. You trying to come and say, you know, and she starts wailing on you because, and all you try to do is help out. So I think just overall, I think the legal system in this country, as well as just how people operate in their relationships, is such where they don't want that. They don't want it.
And Mr.
So
Bennett,
why I'm going to put myself at risk because of it?
Right. And Mr. Bennett, I saw a video of a lady in a gym, and she was lifting the bar, and the bar came down on her neck and pulled her forward and just sitting on her neck. The men passed by her like she didn't even exist. Didn't touch her, didn't help her.
I saw that video. I saw that video.
Yep.
Every single one of them. If it was my gym, every single one of them would have been escorted out and the memberships canceled.
But did she ask to be spotted?
Hold on, Andrea, hold on.
No, but you see the woman in danger like that. Here's the thing: if you're on a bench press, Dr. Nakumbi, I'm quite sure you've done that exercise before. If it's too much weight, you're dead.
But hold on, but Mandriel, let me say something.
Everyone passed by, don't do nothing.
But Mandriel, hold on, you got to look at both sides of it. Like
my
Trey,
ass, not in that case.
Like Trey said, look how many. You got to look at how many. And I want you to look. I know you in the gym all the time. How many sexual harassment lawsuits have happened at gyms in the last year?
But black man, he said in his gym, this is what he would do. He has every right to do that in his gym.
If it was my gym, yeah. You don't see someone getting ready to die.
You have every right to
and walk around and don't do anything. I mean, hold on. That's the difference between a lady yelling at a guy or whatever the case may be. This person is literally in danger, and you can help her. You know what I'm saying, and save her life here, or save her from serious injury. That's a big difference.
Right.
It's not a black and white thing. The thing,
but it's not a black and white thing.
But they can still sue in and turn sue you.
Right. Hold on. If I say
you can for that, it could be within your rights to let them go from your gym, but just think about the legal costs you're going to incur to defend if they take you to court because you suspended their membership.
That's why.
So again, even when you're right, it's still going to cost you some money to prove it.
No, it's not. Wait, hold on. Have you ever read your contract, Mr. Bennett, at a gym?
Right.
You ever read that contract? I have.
So in that contract,
but you can have contracts and people will still doesn't mean
in that contract it states if you do not help your fellow man, if a weight fall on them, I can actually leave my
you
gym.
can put that in the contract and
you
have
can
people
put
sign it.
whatever you want in the contract.
They can still sue you. It's not even about they're going to win. It's the fact that they're going to get you spending $10,000 to get a lawyer. That's what I'm saying. Again, the society is such. It's not about winning or losing the case. It's about causing you inconvenience. And I'm not saying you wouldn't do it, but a lot of people saying it's not worth it.
Yeah, but fellas, Mandrell is absolutely right. Mandrell is absolutely right.
He's not. That's not the point.
Regardless of how we feel,
it's not about right or wrong. I'm not saying that.
Regardless of how we feel about the way women are treating men in the gym these days, if you see a damsel in distress, it ain't gonna cost you nothing to go just save her. You don't have to say nothing to her. Just move the daggone weight and just go back about your business. I think
I help a dude in the gym.
Black man, just let me know when it's my turn. I'm ready to get reckless now.
I'm sorry. This is what I'm trying to get. This is what I'm trying to get Mandrell them to understand. Men are at the point right now. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying men are at the point right now to be in the presence of a woman who is not my wife, my daughter, my auntie, or my family member, and to see her in distress. It could cost me my life. It can cost me a lawsuit. It can cost me all this here. I would rather just not.
I understand that.
This is
I want to be clear here because I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying because that happens a lot. What I'm saying is, okay, in the case in, what was it, Detroit or Chicago?
The weights? Oh no, yeah.
No, Chicago. Yeah, Chicago, Detroit. That's no difference these days. Yeah, that's no difference these days. So anyway, that's different from the situation with a woman lifting weights. Okay, her life is literally in danger. You know what I'm saying? That's a different case. Okay, because I've had to do that before. I've seen a woman like, or a man, and I've seen men die, over there, the way it's here, and I just walk over there with one hand and just grab it and rack it, pling, and I just keep walking, just like our pain said, and I've kept walking. And then they're like, "Hey, thank you, no problem." It's nothing. It costs you nothing to do that. And my question is, when I hear this kind of stuff, and you're right, men are electing to not help, but where's your respect for human life? I'm supposed to be the callous one here. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one supposed to not give a shit, but my humanity is far greater than a lot of you people. And it disgusts me to hear people talk this way and take that ideology in a place where it's not needed. Now, you do need to speak to the women because they are out of control. They are lost. And they don't know what they're doing. Okay, cool. I mean, you can go. Look, I don't see how that's funny by saving a person's life. Again, but he's a cop. He doesn't respect human life anyway. So,
Mandra, I think you're taking the human element out of it. I think what you're saying is spot on. But at what point are we taking it? They do the math. I got this from whatever that movie was with the guy landed on the plane on the Manhattan River. All those machines. Yeah, all those machines are set up to do it perfectly. But if you add the human element to that, with that in mind, when we add in that my intention was to save a human's life with no strings attached, when we add in the fact that I just want to compliment the young lady, and next thing you know, I'm in the office. When you add in the fact that all I tried to do was to make sure you were out of the danger zone, so when I moved your body, I'm sorry to think fast enough that I actually caused more damage, but it was to keep you alive. When you add in the consequences to each one of those things, when the person's I'm talking about the few and the pure intentions that were pure, at what point do you psychologically say, I'm good? If you look at a woman, I mean, for those who are even older than I am, remember the day where you looked down, you didn't look at a woman a certain way? And now if you can be on camera and still lose a case, you can be on camera and still have someone say, but the way that I felt is the eye of the beholder's feelings, not your damn feelings. So at what point do we psychologically tap out and say, no, I'm good, and if anything, let me just get out the way and I'll pray for them?
Okay, I got you. Here's your answer. From me. This ain't it, that have to be anyone else. This is me personally. And I know this about myself because I've been in this situation multiple times. If I'm in a position where I see a person's life is in danger, and it's going to cost me nothing to save them, I'm going to do it. You can yell at me, scream at me, sue me all you want to. I'm still going to sleep good at night.
Right.
You're the piece of shit for trying to sue me for saving your life. I mean, here's my thing. In that case, okay, cool. But I know that I did the right thing.
Right.
I hear you say that, but I've also I saw your reaction also when we tried to go to the other channel and they didn't listen to you. And I've heard you say, you know what? I'm done with them. No, they didn't want my help. They didn't. So it's interesting that they didn't sue you. They didn't sue you, but you already said, no, hey, they didn't want my help. And you are done with them.
Yeah.
You are done with them. Imagine you start getting sued.
That's different. No, hold on. Doc, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
It's not the same scenario, not the same circumstances. There's a difference. I'm talking to someone and trying to get them advice, and they
trying to help.
No, I don't want to hear this. There's a difference when I'm helping you and it saves your life. Physically get you out of harm's way. I can live with that. What I cannot do is keep talking to a brick wall. That's ridiculous on my part. Then that's me. I can live with saving your life. I did a high leg maneuver to you, and you're choking. You sue me after the fact? Fine. I'm still gonna sleep good. I know I did the right thing.
I think we're missing the context.
Right. So we can move on. I'm gonna say this right quick so we can get lost in translation in here and reckless in here. What I'm saying is I think people are looking at it from a point of, what's the ramifications if this happens, right? What if I lift the bar and something pops in her neck? right? Or what if or what if she moves the wrong way? No. What I'm saying is, Mandriel, I'm alluding to what Dr. Nakumbe said. Just because how a person feels, they're able to sue your ass. So basically, hold on. So basically, you're helping a person, just like the Chicago situation, which I don't want to get deep into it. But the Chicago situation, she got charged. Her and her son got charged. They dropped all the charges, and 2 hours later, she's suing the city.
Why is she suing the city?
She's suing the very people that dropped the charges on her.
Why is she suing the city? Never mind. Let's not get caught up. Let's not get bogged down into that.
Right. It's because how she felt when
it's not that. It's just it's a meal ticket. She's looking for money. That's all that is. However, like I said, it's just me, and it's one of those things that I know about myself. Now, if you want to sue me for helping you or saving your life, I can live with that because I know I did the right thing. It's messed up on your part, but you have to answer for that at the end of the day.
Right. But then we also have to, I'm going to say this, let y'all cook. This is what I'm teaching my son. Every time you help somebody, you make sure you're in front of a camera. Let me say it again. If a woman asks you to help her son, or a young lady asks you to help her, I said, when you go to a restaurant, sit under the camera. When you get on the elevator, look up and see if there's one in the elevator. If you're on the elevator, if anywhere, make sure you're on film in case something happens. If you don't see it in the cameras, turn your camera on and call your closest relative and have that damn camera running the entire time you take it to the crib, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation, because all it takes is a woman to get angry, just like Jonathan Majors' situation. I'm gonna be done with it right after this. Jonathan Majors got arrested for domestic violence. Now he's in court. In court, they've shown all this evidence. They got the body cams of the police officers of the woman's body. There's no scratches. There's no bruises. So how did that happen? How did it happen? Right? Then they have all these witnesses that said she was the aggressor, hitting this man and putting her hands on him. And now Jonathan Majors then got cut from commercials, cut from future movies. Marvel is the only person that's holding on to him, and they probably finna let him go too.
No, Marvel has been announced that they was letting him go.
Right.
Marvel, in fact, Marvel's one of the first people. He got let go from Marvel before these. He got put aside from Marvel before he got put aside from everything else.
No, they're not.
Yeah, the thing is, he's on hold.
Right,
he's on hold because they've already recast his character as King the Conqueror. They've already recast him. Now, if this goes smoothly, they'll bring Jonathan back.
But
they already got their
Disney has learned their lesson from the Johnny Depp situation.
Right.
That's the reason why they're holding off on Jonathan Majors.
Johnny Depp, and then after they fired Johnny Depp, now they found out, he wasn't the aggressor. It was his crazy ass fucking wife. And now Disney's saying, we'll give you $500 million if you come back. Please come back. We'll give you $500 million.
He's saying nope.
Where's the and how is the they just found out when he had evidence in the beginning in the first place on Johnny Depp, on his wife, whatever. All the evidence and stuff he had shown now, he had back in the day.
It's about public perception.
Yeah, because they got to protect the brand. So the immediate thing, they got to get rid of you. They got to distance themselves until everything's out.
Yeah.
Then they can bring you back.
Just like I said, they've already recast Jonathan Majors' part as King the Conqueror. They already got his replacement ready to go. However, if this whole court case goes smoothly, they'll bring Jonathan back and let him finish it out.
They're going to drop the charges, but because of too much evidence. It's too much evidence. Right. You got body cam footage of the police officers on the scene, and the body cam show this woman's neck, face, and everything. And there's no scratches, there's no bruises.
And they're leading her to say that Jonathan did it.
They're leading her to say, you sure he didn't hit you? You sure he didn't choke you? And
they just said, no, they're not even saying that. It gets to a point where they say, he did it, didn't he? You can say it's okay, he did it. He did it. He did it. And it's like
then they also have her recanting the goddamn story. He really didn't do it. I was just upset.
But even when this is over, he still won't ever be ever be 100%. The wear and tear this does to a person psychologically, he may get through it, but not without damage.
Absolutely.
Black man, I want to go ahead and give some context to what you were talking about earlier. And I think Mandrill might have been missing this. What happened was the reason why those guys didn't go. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say this for context. Mandrill, you're right. You're supposed to help somebody. But in context, what happened is that there was a TikTok trend going on where women were pretending that they were hurt. And then they would go and say, this guy, he's trying to take advantage of me. And they were making that stuff go viral. So the guys saw it and it was like, okay, you want to play games like that? If something happened to you, then guess what? We're not going to do anything. And that is the reason why those guys didn't help. It's because those women were making fun out of taking advantage of a man's responsibility to help a woman in trouble. It's pretty much like the boy who cried wolf. You can only play that so many times before somebody say, you know what? I'm done with it. If you hurt, you just hurt. You play too much. You know what I mean?
I understand
You're supposed
that.
to help somebody, but in this particular situation, what those guys are probably thinking is that, hey, I don't want to be a TikTok viral person. I just want to come to the gym, work out, and do what I need to do. But as a man, you're right.
Come on,
you're
man.
supposed to help
that
somebody.
person's underneath that bar like that.
Right.
Come on. Seriously, like I said, the whole thing in Chicago, different story. Talking to morons online, different story.
Mandrea, let me ask
that
you a
person
question.
sitting there on the bench like that, and I'm standing there. I mean,
I only have one question for you, Mandrea. What just for?
Why would I walk past her?
I'm just playing devil's advocate. What if it is one of those girls playing games, or what if you help her and you running the business right now, right? All it takes is for her to find your ass and go online and say, the guy that helped me, when he was helping me, he rubbed up against my breast, or he hurt me to the point I'm soon. All it takes is one.
And all I have to say is, this is an online business. I was not present for that.
Your ass would be cooked.
No, it's not. I wasn't even present for that. You did. I don't know what you did. I even sent you videos of how to perform the exercises. Yes, that's right. You also get videos of the exercises, so you'll know what to do. And do
so you double talk, and 1 minute you're talking about being in the gym, and now you're talking about being online, man. You double.
No, I'm in the gym, but when I sell them my products, I mean, here's the thing. You're right. Now, when it comes to training people in person, I never touch them.
Mr. Bennett crazy.
No, men or women in person, I never touch them. I give you a demonstration. I watch you do it to make sure your form is correct, and we're gonna sit there on that form until you do it correctly. You know, I don't touch them when I'm training them online at all.
So let me. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get a woman's perspective real quick. Now get back to the guys. And Sheree, what are your thoughts on this? Why men are backing out of assisting women in their time of need?
All right.
What do you think it is?
Well, the situation in Chicago, as a Chicago, I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. As a Chicagoan, your job is to make it home. That's it. You ain't thinking about nothing else. So why those people in there when they was arguing? Because we know how it goes in Chicago. You start arguing, and in certain phrases, we know that something is about to pop off. We know that. You know, people are shooting. They're not fighting anymore. So if I see two people arguing, I'm immediately watching my surroundings, trying to see how heated it's about to get. And the minute it sounds like somebody about to do something else, I'm out the door. That was at a Maxwell's. And Maxwell's is one of the notorious in Chicago for different fights and shootings and stuff, period. Maxwell is a spot that everybody goes to at night because it stays up overnight. You know, you go home after you go kick it, you go get you a Polish from Maxwell's, and you good because you drunk. So they were probably even drunk. It was late. Ain't nobody got time for none of that. I'm trying to go home. So screw her and her son. I'm going home. You know, and that's just how you just gonna think. It just is what it is. And I'm pretty sure any other major city that has a lot of crime, it's the same thing. You hear certain cadence, you know how this about to go, you going home. You know what I'm saying? So
and most women will say when he said, say something else, I'll hit you in the face. Like you said, he probably was drunk or under the influence or something. You never know, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. Nah, it looked like I froze up. Okay. So, but the gym situation, I kind of get what you guys are saying when it comes to, because there are women who are just making the gym experience horrible. Bad for men and women. It's just they just are. And the gym experience, the cool thing about going to a space where this one goal is to work out is that you are able to meet people who have that one common goal. We are all trying to live a healthy life. So you should be able to be around men and women, but on both ends, they both have made it uncomfortable. You have men who take advantage of women at the gym who are just trying to work out and try to slide in when really she's just trying to go in and work out. She ain't thinking about you. She just want to make sure her glutes is good. She ain't thinking about you. And then on the other end, you got women who do what they do. So it makes it difficult sometimes to decipher between what to do. But in this case with the situation with the chest thing, like, I'm sure it got to a certain point that this is not a game. She died. This is not a game. So I think on some cases you kind of gotta decipher as a man, and I understand the pressure of being trying to decide which point do you step in and which point do you step out. And in some cases, that's really just paying attention to body language and knowing what's going on. Because in the case in Chicago, body language say bye. And in the case with the gym, that probably was a situation where it was like, I got to do something. So it really kind of depends on the situation and stuff like that, because there's cases where people have ended up, you'll see a man beating the crap out of this woman that he's probably dating. A man try to step in. Next thing you know, both of them fighting him. So it's really, it's one of those things where it's kind of hard. Because you want to, as a man, it's your instincts to protect. On the other end, though, you, like I said in the beginning, you just want to go home.
Right. And Sheree, you know what? It happened right here in Dallas. There was a black girl coming out of a bar or club or something, and it was an MMA fighter coming out the club, and she bumped him or hit him with her car, some crazy shit. And she got out the car in his face. And he was like, ma'am, get on. He grabbed her wrist. He said, don't get too close to me. And she came with the other hand. And when I tell you, he beat her like they was in the third round of a heavyweight bout in the UFC championship fight. He beat the damn shit out of her. And when I tell you, the men outside the club had their phones like this. They said, get up, run. Nobody went over and assisted her. Get up, run, girl. Damn. Oh, shit. Somebody called the police. Damn, he beating her ass. Nobody went over and broke it up. Nobody said anything.
The thing about being a trained fighter is you can stop at some point. You know what areas to hit and get get a pest out your way.
Right. I agree with you 1000%. But
I mean,
beautifully animated. It depends on your training, man.
There's some people. I can tell you from firsthand experience. There's some people who can take some hellified blows to the chest.
No,
I'm talking about some stuff that like your rib should have broke. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people who can take blows in certain places. Some are universal, like the bridge of the nose.
I think she's talking about wax on and wax off. You learn to control yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. If you're gonna hit if you find yourself having to defend yourself against a woman, because I think that's the only time where you should ever put your hands on a woman in that way, is in the case of self-defense.
Agree.
So if you're gonna defend yourself against a woman, there's a limit, dude. You ain't gotta beat her like that. You know what I'm saying? Just make your point and be done.
So, Mandrell, if you were there, you would have intervened.
Where?
If you were there and an MMA fighter, you didn't know he was an MMA fighter, but they found out afterwards, right? He's a trained fighter. He was under the influence, and he beat the damn hell out of. If you saw him beating her, would you intervene?
Yeah, pull him up. Hey, I pull him up and say, "Ease up, bro. It's enough."
And he turn around and round kick your ass in the head.
Then we gotta fight.
About the squad.
So this was. I
gotta defend myself now. I gotta defend myself now. I mean, here's my thing though. Here's the thing though. Here's the point. Here's ultimately the point.
And the girl, both of y'all.
No, here's ultimately the point. I'm good with that decision. I can live with that because I know that I made the right choice in trying to help that woman because he could have killed her. I made the right choice. Hold on. I made the right choice, and I can live with that.
So yeah.
So if he and I get into a fight, cool. It's either me or you now.
You're gonna lose, Mandrell.
No, you don't know that.
Mandrell.
A train.
And the fact that
I'm a trained
You are
killer.
good
There's a
with the
difference.
decisions you
Yeah,
make
no,
when you
they're
come
like
up
I was
with
about.
possible
What are you talking
consequences.
about? I'm not gonna be fighting the same way he fighting.
Black man, let me ask you a question, man.
I'm not doing the
What-
same thing he doing. You
What-
trained to fight. I'm
what
trying to get you
happened-
out of here.
What, my thing. What
Now if we in
happened
the
to-
street, it's either me or you, bro.
Right.
I'm gonna be
Right.
here. You're not.
Oh my god.
Because seriously, everybody ain't got it in them to kill somebody.
Shit.
But you get me in the street, and you threaten my life. Okay, your choice.
So hold on. Lost in Translation had a question. Go ahead.
My thing is, what happened to negotiations, man? When we used to talk folks off the ledge, man.
Yeah, man.
We just
And that's what I'm trying to get
we
you guys
just
to
fight
do.
people now,
And
you
y'all
know
just
what I mean?
let people fall off the edge.
we can't have a conversation.
Y'all
Like, hey,
letting,
look,
y'all letting people
it
just
ain't
walk
working,
off the edge. Just
It
jump off the
depends.
bridge.
Well, Lost
I'm
in
just like, what are you
Translation. Back
doing?
then, hold on, Lost in Translation. I'm gonna answer your question. Back then, like some years back, before the mentality came from, I'm not fighting no more. I'm just gonna kill everybody.
Yeah.
There was a point where you could go up to a person, and you and Mandrell would get in a fight, and Mr. Bennett, or I myself could be like, "Hey, bro, come on, hey Mandrell, chill out, man, come on." Lost in Translation, y'all better than this.
And that's
shit,
all
bro.
I'm talking about, man.
Now-
Just do that much.
Now it's, hey, y'all chill out, bro. Hey, nigga, you can get shot too, nigga. You don't get the fuck back. Oh, hey, I ain't mean to be in y'all business. I'm gonna holler at you. Like that's where it's at now. Nigga, you can get shot too, nigga.
The
I kill both of y'all.
hypersensitivity, man.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It's just the thing. It's just
Nobody was talking that dude in Chicago down.
right.
Nobody.
No one tried. That's my thing.
No,
At least try.
no. Forget about trying. Nobody was going to put sense in that madman.
You think
He
he was
was
gone?
gone?
You think he was all the way gone?
He was past.
He was
talking.
gone.
Yeah.
Hold on now, y'all. If I was in that damn place, let's just say for shits and giggles here, if I was in that place, that 120-pound motherfucker, unarmed motherfucker, gonna tell me to my face he gonna whoop me.
Exactly.
If I walked up to him and say, bro, chill the fuck out and shut the fuck up, you think he gonna say something to me? You think he gonna get ignorant like that and throw a blow at me? Zero. Nothing.
And that's ultimately
that's do with anything.
And that's because he was looking for a victim.
People are not
animated.
logical when they're pissed.
I
What are
get
you
it,
talking about?
but here's the thing. If that was like, here's the thing. Black Men Unfiltered is way taller than me in real life, right? And like 3
I'm
times my
6'8".
size. Look, I'm a big guy,
How tall are you, man?
but he's like, you're taller than 6 foot tall. You lied. You're taller than 6 foot tall. Anyway, okay. The point is, I'm 5'8", right? The point is, this guy who was talking to that woman had Black Men Unfiltered come in there and started huffing and puffing. He'd have chilled out.
Yeah, you would have.
Because this guy was looking at doing that to that woman because he figured he could. He was looking for a victim.
Yeah.
And he thought he had one. But what he had was a mob boss. What she did when he punched her, she said, "Knuckles, get the handbag."
Wow.
Her son said, "Right, boss," and came back here with that heater. So that's what happened.
So he became a made man, Mandrell.
He got his button right here.
Hey, but that kid knew what to do with it too.
Right,
He was not playing. That's what I'm saying. Like
everybody,
but like Sheree said,
everybody's not.
No, Reckless been trying to get in for a minute to cook. Let him cook.
There's a couple of things here, and I know. So in the gym, I'd be a simp too. I'd probably go help the dumbass kid. And I'm telling you what, like if she said anything about it, I'm gonna have to snatch her up by the neck and she gonna catch some. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like in the gym, I get you, but like out in public, here's an issue. Now, I will go off the ledge if it's my child. And like we've had this experience before. Like me and a homeboy of mine from back in the day. Like he's got a kid now. We both gotten our lives straight, but he saw a DV situation and was like, "Yo, chill here, little man. I gotta go handle something." And went over there and put this dude to sleep, and then walked back over and told his son. And his son was a toddler and was like, "You don't hit women." But he was like, the only reason he did that was because his child saw it. Otherwise, he was like, "Out of my business," because the way that we grew up and the way that we're trained, like. I can't tell you the last person I punched anywhere that wasn't going to potentially put them off this planet hard as I could with the intent of putting them off this planet. If I have to put hands on you, period, if I make that decision, I'm making the decision that you no longer exist. Because I've had friends who've, you know when to stop. You should stop, that are no longer here because they got caught in a parking lot. So you're going to the hospital. You are leaving a situation with me to go to the hospital if you get to go. Because I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop. So for me to put myself in that situation, I got to gauge whether it's worth it. Now, the caveat to that is I will very politely inform you what's about to happen should the actions continue. And I've done that at the club many a times. I've told people, I'm like, we can have a drink or we can try to kill each other. Those are the two options. Because I can see how far the bouncer is away. I know how many people you're here with, and I'm going to do something so horrible to you that your friends aren't going to help you. It's going to be up to the bouncer, and he's got people to get through to get over here, and everyone's going to be disgusted. It's just what it is. But like, that's a decision. Like, there's people that are walking around this planet. Like, you can't expect everybody to help everybody, or there would be a lot less people here, because there's some people who don't have the patience and don't have the training to do anything besides one thing. Period. And it's not stopping. I understand Mandrell's point, because Mandrell fought to save this country against this country's enemies. I ain't fought nobody not from here that I didn't have to. I ain't put hands on anybody that's not from here that I didn't have to. Everything that I've done has been to people from here. So from that perspective, it's just me. It's what it is. I mean, it's one.
Yeah, I don't like the bias in it though, Rick. Because who's going to talk about this behind the scenes before the show started? Yeah. I just don't like the bias in it, because when Rudolph got his AK-47 and shot that car up with those dudes in it, they put him in jail for a year, ruined his career, ruined his income. He's just sitting in jail, an innocent man, for a whole year. They denied him bail. They wouldn't let him out, right? And for a whole year. And then they go to court with the same evidence they've had for a year. And he gets off after his career's over.
Right.
So now this man has to recoup his career. Now he has to figure out a way to make money, right? He's still gonna get retirement from the NFL. NFL's still gonna pay him. But I'm just saying, like, he still has to recoup. And they knew he was innocent day one. This woman and her son did what they did to the man in 48 hours. They was back on the streets.
100%. That's the world that we live in, though. And that's the thing, though. Also, that's the additional risk. Yeah. As well, is like, you do what you got to do. You do the chivalrous thing, and they can put you away. Those are.
The answer to that is right in front of our face. They don't treat men and women the same. We don't get it's not applied to men and women the same. Women are coddled.
But men
aren't.
But Arpain, think about this though. The men who are willing to stand up and take those actions are a threat to the system that is. They're trying to make weak men. So you showing that level of disagreeableness, you are not only a man who's willing to do what's necessary to protect the community, you're a man who's willing to do what's necessary to protect the community. Those are the men who fight in revolutions. Those are the men who say, this is enough, I'm not going to take it. So yeah, they want you gone. They want you in a state to where you're not out here. They're like, hey, we're going to slap your hand. You did what you needed to do and you was right. Guess what? You're going to sit on that for a year. You're going to lose your career. Also, let everybody else know that if you take these actions, you defend your community, this is what's going to happen to you.
But you know what though? Also, I think we're intimidating. And I'll tell you this, and we'll let everybody else cook. I bought a trailer, right? Because my son wanted to start a business of his own, so I bought him a trailer. And we went out, bought the trailer on the way home. Please get behind me. Whoop. He says, hey, good evening, sir. I said, good evening. License registrator, bam, bam, bam. He said, that looks like a trailer that was reported stolen. Now, y'all know my elevator go all the way up to the top. Mm-hmm. So I had to, I couldn't fathom. I said, I just bought this trailer. I have the buyer's order right here.
No, your elevator does not go all the way to the top.
It does not. And so, so I simply said to him, hey, listen, here's the buyer's order. I just bought this. Yeah, anybody can print this up. I said, oh, really? Yeah, okay. So one of them. So I said, okay, cool. My son's sitting over there. I get the gun in the door, right? I said, damn, my son with me. So he had his hand on his gun. He said, could you step out of the vehicle, please? I said, I'm not. For what? Yeah, we got to really check this trailer and make sure. I said, here's the serial number on the buyer's order. This is how much I paid for it. And there's the serial number on the trailer, sir. Get you out of the vehicle, please. I get out the vehicle. Man, you don't know how tall I am. When I got out the vehicle, he saw that massive bear in front of him. He said, he picked that fucking radio up. He said, oh, we need backup over here on this. Right? In 2 minutes, it was fucking 4 police cars. My son is terrified. At the time, I think he was 7 or 8. He was terrified. And he was just sitting over there crying, Daddy, they're going to kill you. Daddy, they're going to kill you. I said, son, they're not going to kill me. And the man said, get out of the car. I'm looking down. I said, oh, if this man, he had his hand on the gun the whole time. I said, if that man pull on me, I'm gonna kill him. I already had it in my head. But then I said, my son's over there, so I'm gonna traumatize my son. So what if he starts shooting and hit my boy? So now I gotta come all the way back down. I said, okay, officer, what do you need me to do? I said, listen, he said, let me check your insurance. I said, sir, you already know I got insurance. What do I need to do to get? Well, sir, we just making sure that this trailer wasn't stolen, and we was there for 35, 40 minutes, guys, doing nothing, going in circles.
Yeah,
I tell them straight up, they outside of their pay grade when they pull me over. If it's that type of conversation, I'm like, you got 2 options.
Bro, to this day, my son is 16. To this day, he is still terrified of police officers, period. He see them, he like, oh, Dad, there go a police officer. Please slow down. I say, son, I'm doing 70. But just do 60 because they're going to stop us. They're going to try to, I say, son, no, you don't have to worry about that. We good. So to this day, so it's traumatizing. But at the same time, I was prepared to get him, right? Because I knew this man might try to take my life. He had his entire hand on the damn handle. He was ready to take me out. I'm looking at him and I'm saying, damn, I'm going to have to kill this man today.
Yep,
I knew it, and so
that's the reason. That's the reason I always let them know. I'm like, look, I got more money than you. Like something will happen to you if you kill me. Yeah, and you got 2 options. You can write that. You got 3 options. You can write this ticket. You can do whatever you need to do and get sued, which is fine. I got the resources for that too. Yeah. Or we can have an amicable conversation. We can walk away from this.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the whole thing. And I just feel like everybody should keep their hands to themselves. I think back in the day, like Sheree was alluding to earlier, like you just want to go home. Back in the day, you wouldn't. I ain't gonna. Some women probably would, but back in the day, you really didn't have women join back and forth with men like that, right? Because then you had other men step up and say, "Hey, guys, it's been a long night, man. Go ahead and go home, bro." And the woman would go home, and it would have been the end of it. But now we're in a situation where people are just so scared to act, right? If I help this woman with this man pull out somebody's back and shoot me. We're in a situation where everybody's life is threatened now. No matter what, these men are cowards. They're cowards.
No, I disagree, BM. I disagree. I mean, only reason I'm gonna say real quick, you got to do a different calculus with when you're gonna step in for somebody who's a stranger. I mean, you can't just discount that because you're a man.
Right.
I mean, women have, and I'm not even against women, right? I'm just saying, women have, what's your benefit? You got a family too. You got a family, you got all these things that are relying on you. So you got to do the calculus. And if you're a tough guy, great. But if not, nobody's fist fighting anymore. Right? You don't know what they have.
But our pain, where are the female stoics?
I'm going to just land it here. We don't really know what the exchange was between her and this guy. And the men in that store, they're sitting down here, I don't know, maybe they heard enough to say, listen, man, why don't you just shut up, woman? But she didn't deserve what she got. Right. But everybody who was going to jump in had to do the calculus that they wanted to get into a fist fight for this woman. It was, I mean, everybody was going to do that.
No, my point is, I get what you're saying, our pain, but my point, like for me, okay, because to me, there are degrees to damn near everything. Right. Very few things in existence is black and white. Even when I'm talking about fighting, like if I break the fight and then the guy swings on me, even to that, there are degrees to it. I'm only going to get serious if I think that my life is in danger. If you're trying to honestly hurt me or kill me, okay, then I'm going to swing in full force. However, my first course of action, if you swing on me, is to subdue you. First thing on my mind, look, I know myself. I normally don't have to put too much pressure on people.
You're trained, though.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's to subdue people. But my thing is with this guy, and I made this point last night, is that, okay, jaw-jacking with a woman, that's bad enough. You make yourself look bad enough. But that is what it is. It's just words. However, when he made the decision to steal on her like that, you've now crossed a barrier. and turn this into violence. Now, that's the thing. 99.999% of people in this country do not understand violence. Violence will go wherever violence goes. It's random, it's super fast forward, and you have no control. No one does in violence. Like Ray and I can get into a fist fight. Yeah. And if it's just fisticuffs, I'm trusting him, even though we're engaging in violence, I'm trusting him to keep it unarmed and right to fisticuffs. And he's trusting me to keep it right there, unarmed in fisticuffs.
I think it's strengthening my point.
But my thing is, but if Ray chooses to grab a firearm and use that, all well and good, fair play. I chose to engage in violence. And like I said, violence will go wherever violence goes. You have no control. It ain't up to you. Hey, if your opponent decides to pick up a lead pipe or something,
that's why I gotta stay out of it. But first of all, I agree.
Y'all flaring up Trey's PTSD, man.
Hey, y'all look at Trey. Trey said Mandrell has never had to process the dead body of a man who intervened. He's never had to explain to the family why their husband or daddy is dead.
Oh no, he's right. I've never had to explain to a person who intervened and end up on a slab. I've never had to explain it to his family. My thing is, the people in that room in that restaurant, they could have stepped in before he punched her and said, "Okay, hey, bro, it ain't that serious." And go to the woman, "Ma'am, it really ain't that serious. You know, everybody just calm down." And whatever the case, before the punch was thrown, you see, come on, you see that guy was on 12 on a scale of 1 to 10.
That's right. So you could have gotten in there before that. You had to do the calculus to talk to the. Listen, there was an old man in there that everybody saw him leaving. He's gonna go to this dude and tell him to calm down.
No, but that's different. That's an old man.
That's what happened. He's the guy we saw.
That's all who was in there. Old man, the lady, and that boy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
maybe you never know. Maybe he'd have calmed it down. Now, after you say, "All right, everybody, chill out," he don't want to chill out, and he still want to go. All right, but then you get what you get, and he got what he got.
Yeah. Well, the issue is though, and what Trey's saying is, it's who is intervening, because like anything could happen. So like if somebody goes in there and say it's an MMA fighter, and I see this dude, I'm gonna see him throw a couple of punches. I'm gonna be like, cool. If I walk up on this dude, I'm not restraining him. I'm punching him in his neck as hard as I can, and he's going to be injured. And then I might start stomping on his neck while he's on the ground. I'm just going to stomp him out like a roach. I'm going to be like, dude, I know what to do. Like, he could have killed me. That's the option. Like, if I pose you as if you are going to become a threat to me, I eliminate threats. That's what I do.
And that's the difference, the mentality, right?
But I'm not gonna come up and be like, "Hey, man, stop jaw jacking this chick," so that he can turn and hit me. That's not how you survive altercations.
My thing is try to de-escalate. If it don't work, then let the man make his decision.
Bro, if you see this dude throwing equal lefts and rights, there's no de-escalation, bro.
Let me add one more thing. This is the sad part. Let me just add one more thing real quick. In the modern era, and this is the sad part about it, I think the grace that women have is gone. Mm-hmm. The grace that they used to have has dissipated, and they participated in some of that. And whether it's fair or not, just like men who have become too weak to take care of what they're supposed to take care of, we got to own that. So, when they say chivalry is dead and women killed it, a part of that is true. And it's sad, but a part of that is true. So the benefit of being a woman, the benefit of the virtue that women used to have, they've eaten into those credits. They've eaten into those credits. And I hate to be the guy who says it, because I'm not against women. I got a wife and 2 daughters. I want them to be taken care of.
Right.
Not just by me. But, we can't deny some of that. We just can't, because that's not having a legitimate conversation.
I think that in 2023...
But we also got to raise our daughters better, too. Yeah. Like my daughter in there right now, 19 years old. Hey, baby girl. When you go into a place and there's a man there, a very masculine, strong man in there, and he says something to you, it is not your damn job. I'm like, Sheree, now get your ass home. It is not your job to be jaw jacking with a 6'2", 225-pound solid man that will break
my daughters.
It's not your job to do that. It's your job to when he said something that you said something he didn't like, and he said to you, next time you say something, I'm gonna punch you in your face. You shut your ass up, get your ass in the car, and get your ass to the house.
Live for another day.
For another day.
And the reason why that woman said it kept jaw jacking. Number one,
my daughter wouldn't be in that situation.
I feel you, but my thing is the reason why I think the woman kept jaw jacking like that is because number one, she's used to doing it. Number two, she had a muscle. So, and unfortunately, it was a 14-year-old who just happened to be his son. And we've seen pictures now of the kid being affiliated with gangs and whatnot. So, and I'm not surprised by that, or anything, but because that kid knew how to use a firearm.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So when I saw the games, okay, he's been shooting with his friends or whatever.
That's only negative because he's in the hood, man. A lot of white kids know how to use a gun when they're
but their parents teach them mostly. Like if I was to ever have a child, I'm going to teach my kid how to use correctly and respect firearms. That includes learning how to shoot them.
There are so many scenarios that could happen in this situation, guys. And now my thing is that guy was probably drunk, under influence, like Sheree said. She lives there, so she knows that place. She just said people come there drunk after they get out. They said this was 11:30 midnight. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she don't have no man, because my wife ain't leaving up out here at midnight going no goddamn way to do nothing by herself with one of my kids. That ain't gonna never happen. Baby, you hungry? I'll go get you something. But my wife ain't finna be out in no streets at no midnight. So that further lets me know what no responsible man covering this woman, period. Right? And so
but that's a routine night for her though. I mean, she didn't expect it that night. Do you think that was the first time she got a late night snack? I mean, I'm just thinking she was living in that area. This is routine. She had no idea she would have a confrontation like that with this dude.
Right.
Right. But I think she was so comfortable going there with her bonnet and with her nightgown on. She probably has done that 100 times.
She definitely ain't got no man.
But she ain't got no man. I know that.
Yeah. My wife ain't going nowhere after no midnight.
Guys, listen though. The thing is,
she do have a man. It's her son.
The thing is, we got to realize that like a lot of people.
You got me, man. I knew somebody was going to say that. First of all, I think the guy was a hero, by the way. So I think he was ready, and he was the most reserved person there. Because let me just say this. I know we don't go down there. He didn't pop the guy right away. He waited till that guy acted, and he only took one shot, and he didn't shoot him 100 times. He said, "Okay, I stopped the threat." The guy left, and it was his mother who told him to go finish him off. Now, I could even say, after you get hit in your head, you ain't thinking straight. But she also knew if this guy lived, he's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my thing is,
so she said, we got to stop the threat altogether, and she did that, and he did it, and I don't have no problem with the charges being dropped. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this though: the scenario that I gave Mandrell today, if it were me, because I'm packing everywhere, I'm in church singing in the choir with my gun on my hip. So my thing is, if I'm there and this boy starts shooting and I don't know why. Say for instance, I'm at this place, I'm getting something to eat for my kiddos, right? And I'm sitting over there with my son, and he starts shooting. Hell, I don't know the situation. So what happens when I want to protect my son? That 14-year-old will be dead if I was there.
You know what happened? He saw his mother getting wheeled on.
I understand that, but I don't know what bullets ain't got no goddamn name on them.
You don't know when he's going to stop.
Right.
He might want to take out all the witnesses.
No, he may start shooting and start swinging that motherfucker left, and I got to take him out.
Yeah.
He shot one
time. I'm saying anything can happen. You don't know what the shooter wants to do. So
he got to go. Yeah. That could have went south if there was another gun owner there.
Here's my thing. It's easy for us to say what we could have done and what would have happened, but in the heat of the moment, stuff is just going to happen.
It is.
If you ain't never been in a convenience store before and got shot at like I have before, let me tell you something. What I did, my 6'4" tail did. I was in between the Red Bull and the Bud Light, trying to go to the toilet. You know what I'm saying? Because these two guys who were best friends were jaw jacking, and one of them want to shoot at the other one. It's easy for you to say, "Well, you should have put your cape on and went over there and saved all the women." No, self-preservation is number one. You know what I mean? Everybody, well, he should have been a man and been a gentleman. Here's my thing: we have to start asking questions, man. What role did this woman play in this man's death? You see what I'm saying? A, she kept talking. B, she sent her son in there for the blick, and she already knew I'm gonna set him up. Because sometimes women do stuff like that. I don't know if you ever had kids before. You had one kid to hit the other one, you didn't see it, but all of a sudden you see the second kid haul off and hit the other one, and now the second kid that got into trouble. Basically, that's what she did. If you're not used to kids or you ain't never seen nothing like that, that's basically what she did. In street code, that little boy and that lady was gonna get something else coming. You know, this ain't over with yet. I'm telling you, in the hood, that right there is for TV. But I promise you, later on, they're gonna be like, we're gonna let this die down, and them folks coming.
Oh yeah, they coming.
That's the part of gang. That's the part of gang life that people don't understand. If you ain't been around no gangs to know, this don't end just because the news cameras cut off.
Right.
Come on.
And you know what? Even in my corporate job, when I go every day, they have meetings and they say, listen, if someone breaks in this building or someone comes in this building and it's an active shooter, it's self-preservation. Everybody for themselves. Get your ass out of here. If he get close up on you, you have the ability to fight or get him off of you, get him off of you. So and the young ladies at my job that work under me, they was like, hey, so somebody came in here shooting, you're not gonna cover us or not gonna jump in front of the I said, no. What kind of man are you? You are.
They watch too many movies.
No. I said, ma'am, I'm not jumping over no bullet. She said, what? But men are supposed to protect women. I said, shit, my wife in here? I said, I'm not. If somebody come in here shooting, I'm gonna be in my truck halfway to the house.
Black man, what you should have said was, honestly, if somebody comes in here, I'm grabbing two of you by the neck and y'all getting me out.
But to be honest, you cannot protect what does not obey you. You know what I'm saying? You cannot protect what does not obey you. And until here's my thing, until women understand, yes, men are here to protect you, but they're gonna tell you, hey, look, I need you to move this way. And if you start talking, well, I don't think I should, I'm taking my hands off of it.
Exactly.
And that's what men are doing.
Right, get down the shooter right there. You don't tell me what to do because you're not my daddy. For pop, pop, pop.
Hold up. I got you. Hold up.
Go ahead.
So I worked in law enforcement, and I was doing clerical, right? And I'm in the intake area. Well, one of the deputies doing searches, and the officers who brought in the guy didn't do a proper search, and all I hear is gun. Well, the counter in front of me is made of cinder blocks. You know, I drop down, right? My coworkers one of my coworkers pumps out the office. Somebody, what's going on? What's going on?
Oh,
I was like, get inside. She's like, why?
Bye.
All right, dummy. I just stayed where I was at. You know, she got shot. She got shot after that because I was done with it.
If you in Texas and you're not carrying, you're the dumbass. And let me tell you why. Because Texas don't give a damn about license no more. Well, Alabama just did it too, man. Right. They don't give a damn about license to carry no more. Anybody can carry, conceal, whatever you need to do. This motherfuckers walking in Applebee's with AR-15s on their back. It doesn't matter. And you know, if you're a private business, you can say no guns in this business or whatever. But in most public places, you could just walk in with your gun on you. And so if you think you're going to, and then they got this law now. I think I did talk to Trey about it, where it's a 3-block minimum. There's this guy at the hotel. He paid for a prostitute. She came in. He told her, I'm going to take a quick shower. He got in the shower. She took all his money, ran out the door. Her brother pulled up. They set him up and then took off with all his fucking money. He got in the truck, butt ass naked, with his AR-15, chased their asses down on a 2-block minimum, shot the car up, killed both of them. He did not spend one night in jail because it's a 3-block minimum.
So you can chase someone down for 3 blocks.
Yep, and you could chase them down for 3 blocks and retrieve your stolen merchandise.
Okay.
So he chased them down. It was in a 2-block minimum. He got up on them, sped up beside them, and shot the entire car, riddled the car with bullets, and killed both of them. The brother and her did. And he did not go to jail. He at home right now watching Price is Right reruns.
So to BMU, I would throw the question back your way when you say, what happened to the men But even when we talk about how we know of how men used to be, but even now we're saying like, how shit, I'm out. So I mean, I think we can answer our own question about what happened, because how come we ourselves who are saying what happened to chivalry, what happened to this, but if we're in that situation, only our wives, only our kids. So it's really kind of double talk that we're doing, that we would do this. If some, and maybe because I have this whole clinical thing, I'm not actually in the streets per se, but even though I have some experience with working with correction officers, deputies, all that stuff. So I get the part about the training and being trained to turn the emotions off. And I also get some of the delusions, like, saying you can get hit in the back of the head with a steel bat and just turn around and be like, don't do that. That's not, come on, that's some bullshit. But we get people who are delusional about they can do all that and they can do all this and do all. But I think it was our pain that said it. Yeah, people who are trained can do that. But for the people who are not trained, do you really take into consideration all the pieces that go with it? I think it was Trey that asked, have you ever seen the body? Have you ever processed after? Have we been to a courtroom? Have you been to the HR office? Have you actually had someone tell you, don't think I'm a weak woman. I don't need you to do shit for me. Keep your dick in your pants. Because they're saying that they are as strong as you are, and they don't need you to do anything. There's a such thing as called conditioning, to the point where we start backing up more and more and more. Shit, you have to tell me twice. You don't have to tell me 3 times. And then not only am I at the HR office, but that impacts the money flow in home. Not only am I getting sued for something I did, that impacts the money at home. Not only am I in jail because I did so-and-so, that impacts my ability to be in the home. So back to Chicago, when we say, hey, the goal is to get home. Totally understand. That becomes our whole thing. Like, I don't know if I want to get involved, because then who's going to protect? Why am I doing for you more than I do for my own family?
Yeah.
Reality or situational awareness. If you see the person getting worked up and their eyes is all, and the lady's already trying, you're like nothing. Come on now, back up. Your breath stinks. Come on, you ain't gonna do shit. Come on. But she's calmly saying that, and you see the guy, he wants to hit. There's certain situations where you can't talk those people down. Mental illness, you can't talk people out of their mental illness. And when people are intoxicated or impaired, we can't talk them out of that. Or you can talk up to a point. So all I ask is that we add in some realistic pieces to this, make it all sensational, and I can beat everyone up in one finger. And stop. Tupac is gone. Scarface is gone. Please stop with all the sensationalism. We are protecting ourselves, and we got to the point where so many things are coming at the men, systematically coming at the men, messing with their families, messing with the money, to the point where you have to either figure out what purpose you're on. So think about the most people who want to fight. What are their family situations? The fathers are most likely going home. The people who are out to protect, and the rebels and the military and all that, those guys they can afford to do that. So some people are taking into consideration, what can I afford to do? Us on this panel, I mean, most of you sitting up here with all these fake names and riddle names and hippity hoppity and bibbity bo and all these names and stuff. Why? I mean, if you're all that, how come we got all these fake names? Because we know at a certain point, when they come for you, they come for you, and even if you survive it, when you get through, what's left? So take that into consideration.
And I will say this: them mentally ill people, I ain't trying to be funny, but those mentally ill people, them some of the strongest motherfuckers you ever meet in your life. Listen to me. I'm telling you, man. Look, I don't care what nobody say. I'm gonna tell the goddamn truth. I ain't no bad man. I can't whoop everybody, but I got some hands on me. But I'm telling you, a mentally ill dude grabbed me one time, guys. I felt like I was in a fucking a car crushing machine. Like he said, and he grabbed me and started doing. I said, shit, I'm dying. I said, somebody help
strength.
Me.
It's the strength.
Help me. Please help me. Shit, somebody.
But Black Man, that's why I said earlier when you was like, oh, I'm bigger than the dude and stuff like that, it really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you don't know that person, don't know what's going on and stuff like that, it's just best to just don't.
And at 100, but you know, he, like I said, he was probably 125 soaking wet. You know, and I know he could get crazy or whatever, and that's fine. I'm just saying, if I was there, I would try to de-escalate the situation, because most men can discern a situation, right? You could be sitting there, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at, why this dude at this door with this hoodie with his hand in his fucking. Oh, hell no. Hey, ma'am, hold on, y'all. Listen, dude, calm down, bro. Chill out for a second, you know, and, you know, if he get twisted, you know, or he could go out, you know, what, I could probably eat one of them punches, you know, what he gave her, I could eat that motherfucker. But I'm just saying, you know, I'll probably try to de-escalate the situation, because I wouldn't want it to, especially if I had my son with me or a family member with me, I don't want it to escalate to a point where it causes harm, not only for y'all, but it causes harm for us too. I wouldn't want that at all. I would, and even the situation here in Texas, in Allen, Texas, where the guy went out to the shopping center and started shooting up people. Like, I just couldn't even imagine. And my wife loves to go out there, and I couldn't imagine being there with my 6 children and my wife, and that motherfucker started shooting. I wouldn't know what to do. Like, I in my mind, and like Dr. Nakume said, like, we could sit up here and say what we would do. But I could just imagine to myself, those people that passed away out there, I don't know what I would have done if bullets are flying and I gotta protect 7 people. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. So I mean, so you're right. Situational shit. It's situational.
Of course, it's like I said. Most things are. Most things are circumstantial. Like you saw it tonight with myself and Dr. Nakumbi. Not to call you out or anything, Doc, but I mean, good example is that, you know, he called me on something. I was like, yeah, but that's a different scenario. I was answering a different question. But a lot of times, people that I've noticed, they take your answer and generalize it and try to shape it into everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not one size fits all. Am I a violent person by nature? No. Can I be? Absolutely. It just depends on the circumstances and the situation I'm in.
And nothing can put a battery in your back like your family. And I'm not talking about in a negative. I'm not talking about like in a negative way or trying to be superhero. I'm just saying, just the thought of my family being hurt transforms me into something that's just not good for anybody.
Right. I mean, and the thing is, if you're not a person who's used to stopping and thinking first and observing, you know, then that could be
right
bad for you. You know what I mean? You're impulsive.
Shut up.
Very impulsive.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm just saying.
I'm telling your ass.
Hey, I've been trying to work with you, but you're hard-headed.
I ain't hard-headed. I listen.
Yes, you are. You do all this talking out here, but you hard-headed. Yeah, you listen. That's about it. Where's the work?
Hold on. I'm gonna say this because I don't want to get. I'm gonna have to cuss him out.
What's the title of this episode? Sit your ass down.
I've calmed down a lot. I've calmed down a lot. I don't go seeking to destroy like I used to. I listen to y'all. I listen to you. I listen to Dusto. I listen to y'all, man. Ain't no problem. We good. See, I can admit that I had a problem. I did have a problem. Temper, 0 to 100 in almost milliseconds. And I'm just, I'm not like that no more. I'm better now.
But you know what? You also can hear. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it takes good friends and family who can, who you trust, whatever, and situations like just experience to get you to come down from that. Because I was the same way, man. Like, I'm still pretty bad, but I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be.
We also see it more. I mean, one of the things that's changed over time, those who are now making those videos where you walk up to someone, hey, you want to get dropped? And then when they're like, what? Oh, I'm in a teardrop. Those who are making those type of prank videos and having fun with it, we see more of that. We hear more and more of these stories about how people are doing something, and then, like I said, they have video, but they still get in trouble for it. I mean, we hear more and more of these court cases where people are like, oh my gosh, all he was trying to do, you mean he bumped the person's car, could have taken off, but he chose to get out and help them, and now he's in court because they're saying a little hole in a thing like that cost him $14,000. People hear that more and more and more. What are we saying? We don't want to get involved in the foolery, and that's impacting how we make our decisions as well.
Yeah, well, I want to say this real quick, guys. Thank you guys for being here and having a conversation. Thank y'all for the awkward moments. Thank you for the funny moments. Thank you for the real moments. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you, people in the chat. You guys have been amazing tonight. Thank you for Trey. Thank you for being here tonight, because that's a conversation, man. We got to have And I want to have more thought-provoking conversations because I think that it's a healthy thing for us, as especially our people. Golly, we got to have these conversations, and I get a lot of pushback because remember, Mr. Bennett, we had the conversation about what happens here stays here, and that was a very, very emotional conversation talking about people you're living with who's molesting you or doing something to you. People ain't talking about this stuff. And that was a very emotional show. Beautifully animated, broke my heart that night. I'm in the die to turn my damn camera off. I'm back in the back. The shit, I said I can't let nobody see me when no tears come down my face. But that baby had me, woo, when she said her story, baby, I was out of there. I was out of there. But thank her for being vulnerable that night on that show. But we just got to have more thought-provoking conversations. We got to talk about, not just relationships and not about the hoes and the pookies and Ray Rays, those conversations happen, but we also got to talk about the things that nobody else is talking about, because there is a little 13-year-old girl dealing with her uncle right now, right? There is a little 12-year-old boy dealing with an uncle right now. Let's be real.
I mean, that's why I don't believe in calling the popo. Just chop their asses up.
There is a lot of people, not only just the essay part of it, but there's a lot of people mistreating children. I just looked on the news and saw the guy who was on Good Times. What's his name? That played the daddy on Good Times.
Mr. Amos? Amos?
Yeah, John Amos. I seen that his family had left him for fucking dead. He didn't shit it all over himself and pissed on himself.
I heard.
I'm like, God damn! Like y'all not taking care of your daddy? Like what the fuck? They found him in there with bed sores. Nobody's done took care of him. He can't walk hardly no more. I'm like, what kind of kids are these kids? Your daddy just sitting there just rotting away, y'all. I don't know, man. This shit crazy. They just spent all this money. They say he just don't have no money. And now one of the kids that's one of the good kids now have a GoFundMe for him to try to recoup some of the money that the kids done stole from him. They done stole all his fucking money and sold half his shit. I mean, this some horrible kids. Horrible kids.
It's just hard to process in your mind because I mean, this
he was so tough.
Seen all your life. Yeah, big, always. Even in his 60s. I mean, he was on West Wing and all these shows. He was just a very fit, very physical man. But it just also
have you seen him lately?
Well,
your health can change, especially once you get up there 70 plus. You don't know what happened, dementia, whatever.
Yep,
stuff can change. So to the earlier point about your health, I mean, as you get older, make sure your mental health, everything is in check, man.
Because right now he look like he's probably 120 pounds, maybe, or some shit. 119.
Yeah, easy. I mean, he was always even like I said, even in the 60s, I was like, this guy kick your butt. You know what I mean?
He was strong minded too, because there were certain things about in Good Times, like the way they had JJ and stuff like that he didn't approve of. He didn't want blacks being looked at in a certain way, whatever. Goofy and silly and not. Yeah. Talented,
but unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of these sitcoms. It's happened in more than one occasion. But the funny man, the funny black man, always kind of gets the viewers. So then all the stories and the focus started focusing on JJ or the funny guy, because that's what draws the audiences in. So,
and they had some good episodes though. The episode when he was whooping that damn boy ass. The episode when the mama thought white Jesus was supposed to be hanging on the wall.
That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites, right there.
So they addressed a lot of things. So, but again, like those shows back in the day, you don't have that anymore. You rarely see a reflection.
Look, credit to Norman Lear in General Auto shows. He did Maude. He did, I think, Archie Bunker. Like all those shows he did. I mean, very for the times they dealt with everything. It's like everything was on the table back then. Normally,
because even when they shocked the audience with Sanford and Son, when Red Fox went into the courtroom and say, "I see a lot of white folks, but I don't see no niggas," and everybody's like, did he just say nigga on national TV? So
it's more in here than in the Tarzan movie,
right? Exactly. Yeah. So so we don't really have a reflection of that on TV anymore. You don't have the Cosby Show no more. You don't have none of that no more. Everything now is action, shoot them up, cut their head off. They have some of these weird ass TV shows. I'm like, damn, ain't no family shows on TV no more. Hell, I had to resort to Heartland. I don't even know if anybody watched that. I started watching Heartland. I got goddamn, I love it so much. I done watched all 15 seasons. But anyway, so that's the end of that, man. I just want to tell you guys, thank you again. I appreciate you, Sheree. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you for being here and always supporting me. Lost in Translation, you are my guy. Appreciate you, man. Mr. Bennett, beautifully animated. Dr. Nakumbe coming in. Appreciate you, man. Mr. Payne, thank you. Mandrell, he's shaving his legs right now, but thank you, man, for coming in and chilling with your boy tonight. I know he's shaving his legs right now. Reckless, thank you for coming in tonight, man. Guys, we as men, and we have to have our women backing us up. We got to hold each other accountable. And I was glad that we were able to touch on some things tonight and have some fun tonight, because I appreciate you guys. And tomorrow is Wednesday, so we have our sports show at 7. Of course, if you're a sports person, right after that we'll have Unapologetic with Mandrell and Shushu. They're going to have a great show tomorrow. The name of their show tomorrow, I got to put everything put up here. Even if you had it all, you still wouldn't be happy. So that's their show tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then the great Dr. Nkumbe and Coach K on Thursday, they say what is happiness and who is responsible for it. That's part 2, because last week was amazing. So if you want to watch a great show, go back and watch the part 1, and part 2 is going to be on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to talk about your mama did it to you on Friday at the barbershop. So we'll discuss that on Friday. Who, Lord have mercy. That's gonna be tough. But anyway, that's gonna be tough. We did it, Mr. Bennett. We had this conversation before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Because we don't hate our moms. Nobody hate their mama. I just think that a lot of people don't hold them accountable or hold them to the same standard as daddy. Daddy ain't shit. Mama was a crackhead, a prostitute, but even though you was a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen, mama. Yep. And so we don't recognize it. Mama can't do no wrong, but daddy can all day long. All right. So anyway, thank you guys for being here.
Prayer.
We up out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you
prayer.
Don't forget the prayer.
There you go. Thank you. See, accountability. All right. And she's in the chat too. She's in the chat. I want to make the Wife School podcast. We're going to say a prayer for you and your family. We're going to all turn our cameras off for a moment. And then we'll say a quick prayer for you and your family as you guys are dealing with your loss in the morning of your grandmother. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Father God, we thank you for this moment that we're able to come to one of our sisters and let her know that we love her. God, we ask that you cover her family, give them the peace that surpasses all understanding. We ask that you let them know that you are able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can think or imagine. Touch her in her mourning, touch the family in their mourning, give them the joy that they need to get up in the morning and continue to go on, and let the memory of her grandmother live within her. We ask all of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
All right. We love you, Wife School Podcast. Girl, if you need anything, you already know how to hit me up. Anybody else on this panel, we love you. We like family. And we missed you tonight. And hopefully everything goes well with your family. We're praying for them consistently. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all again for being here. And we out. Peace.
Peace.
Go. Fire by night and a pillar of vapor by day. Walk through the desert, but when you admire the light, see the villains are paper mache. I'm on the way to the promised land, no contraband. I'm an honest man, I'm coming. Y'all met me, I'm set free, playing my part like the Red Sea. Man, I'm from heaven, I'm here with my brother, and the volume's 11, now we're getting rowdy. Swing from the scaffolding, spiritual happenings, miracles are all around me. This ain't no balcony, I'm in the front.